for it to work, as long as they can.
Wait a few minutes.
Yo.
What up? What's up, Guan? What's going on? What's up? How's everybody doing today? What it is, what it do? You are on the Culture Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? What it is, what it do? You on the Culture Chronicles. Chilling up on a Monday. What is this, May 17th, 2021? Today we're going to be doing a book reading on Hip Hop Criminology Exposed. This subject is near and dear to me because it's very interesting that Wise Intelligent would write this book. He wrote a very dope book. And this book is called 3/5 an MC, The Manufacturing of a Dumbed Down Rapper.
Can we see it?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, who is Wise Intelligent for those who aren't hip hop or young or old enough to know, I would say.
Or hip to the jive. Wise Intelligent is the front runner member of the Poor Righteous Teachers, which was a very dope group of the golden era. They represent the 5% nation. He represents the 5% nation of gods and earths. If anybody knows the song "Rock This Funky Joint" from our era or whatever, and things like that or whatever. Of course, he has a couple of solo albums. They had 3 or 4 albums or whatever. You know what I mean? But he wrote a book. I don't think this is his first book he wrote, but he came out with this book a couple of months ago, 3/5 an MC, The Manufacturing of a Dumbed Down Rapper. The title had already caught me out there or whatever. As soon as I saw and heard the title of it, I was like, yo, it's this. Man, I can only imagine what he's talking about. And so I haven't finished it. I started reading some of it, and it just, something that I've been wanting to discuss anyway. He hit right home with, went and did the research with, you know what I mean? And I feel the need to drop some science and spread this knowledge, you know what I'm saying, on folks today about what the deal is, you know what I'm saying? So what it is that we're talking about, that I want to talk about for real is some people call it, I guess, some people have called it hardcore hip hop. Some people have called it street. You know what I mean? I like to call it criminology hip hop. And of course, it's the hip hop where you just, the subject matter for the most part is the criminal element. It's selling drugs. It's the misogyny of women. It's the disrespect of themselves. It's the disrespect of their environment. They don't give a F. Everything is what up, Sean? What I'm saying? Black Lotus Society, stand up. You know what I'm saying? What up, Star? You already know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
What up, DJ Good?
You know what I'm saying? What up, DJ Good? Peace. What's up? You know what I'm saying?
And we've got another Goodman. What's up, Mr. Goodman?
What up?
How you doing?
You know what I'm saying? What up, William Goodman? You know what I'm saying? That's a bookman right there, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
a book collector. You had a library out here. Probably got a library somewhere. You know what I'm saying? What up, man?
What up, Neb?
What up, bro? You know what I'm saying? What it is.
So we got people. Y'all definitely know who Wise Intelligent is. Most of the people that's in the chat right now, y'all are hip to the jive of what this. You might not know the book, but Wise Intelligent, you know what I mean? But Wise Intelligent is a thoughtful brother. He not just an MC, you know what I'm saying? So rock this funky joint indeed, but this ain't go strong, yo.
Oh yeah.
So what was you saying? Go ahead.
What up? A peace, Chuma. What up? You know what I'm saying? Well, I was just basically saying that I'm an MC. I've been in hip hop for a very long time.
Okay.
And there was a time when hip hop wasn't about criminology primarily. And right around the 90s, we won't get into the shift. We got an episode about that. We can build on that or whatever. But as far as right around the 90s, for those of us that were around, you know what I'm saying? Peace, sis. You know what I'm saying? We love you too. You know what I'm saying? For those of us that were around, we know that basically the gun, the tote, the drug dealing, the hardcore, the Timberlands, the hoodies, the everybody get shot and killed.
Kind of started happening. Always like that.
And it wasn't always like that or whatever.
Yeah.
We've done some research. Some of us in hip hop intelligence, if you will, are some say that the government is behind it, got enough to do with it, the influence of the people, or we ain't got enough who really got the dope, and brothers ain't really got it like that, and wise cats rhyming like that, and da. And so, but it was always something that me being a member of the Zulu Nation and being in hip hop, there was always it's not a civil war, but there is, even we, a crew of junipers who were considered, I guess, conscious MCs, we had to do a lot of shows around a lot of MCs, fellow MCs and everything that were, or rhymes were criminology, or That's what it was. So there's always been this two paths that have been going in hip hop as far as MCs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like that. The thugnificence of it all. No doubt. I like that. You know what I mean? So it can be heartbreaking.
Hold on. Let's pour these libations.
Okay.
And then, let's go.
Okay.
The fire is here.
Right.
Y'all, before we get too deep, y'all know what it is. We got to pour some libations real quick. For the fallen, anybody you want to, or for those who have passed on, I would say the fallen, but those who have passed on, anybody y'all want to name. So we're going to start with Sam Puff.
Yeah, my man Sam McNeil, Ashe, Sada Shakur,
Ashe.
That's what came to my mind. Benji Carter.
Bungie
Carter. Thank you. Bungie Carter.
Well, Black Benji.
Ashe. Nipsey Hussle.
Ashe.
And I'm gonna say this to everybody who's ever been in the drug game, who's lost their life. We lost a lot of people in criminology. For anyone in the streets that have lost their lives, soldiers we say have fallen and things of that nature. So I dedicate this last pouring to them. Ashe.
All right. So now that that's done and it's leaking, right when I did that last one. Go ahead. Oh man, it's leaking bad.
Oh man.
Oh, it's leaking all in my lap. All right. Hold on, please.
But I can build with you. So you good?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, there's always been like this simple thing. So you have people who are criminology, and then you have people who are not criminology. And a lot of times this can go on and take place backstage, and then sometimes it could escalate to whacker things. You know what I mean? So this is a topic that has always been near and dear to me. I've had debates about it. I prayed about it. I've meditated on it to figure out what's really good, with this criminology in hip hop. True indeed, I do some hip hop knowledge. I do some hip hop science. I'm a hip hop historian. And yes, criminology is not necessarily all throughout it. It came with the elements as an alternative. That's how hip hop started, as an alternative to the criminal element. And it's not to say that everybody who started hip hop totally left the criminal element, but hip hop was created as an alternative, as another way to do something else. You know what I mean? But the music industry seemed to have meshed it, put it back into the fold, and somehow, some way, all of these drugs are getting to our streets. And so this is why we're going to do a book reading on this book today, so that we can figure out what's really good. One of my theses of today is who really got the juice in the streets, in these hip hop streets. You know what I mean?
And to be clear, we're not reading the whole book. We're just reading a chapter.
You're just reading a chapter of it. You know what I mean? Because we got to read a chapter, maybe a little bit more to read about, just a little bit more to bring home a little part of what it is that we're going to build on today. All right. So I said all that to say, we're about to start this book reading. Once again, the name 3/5 and MC, the manufacturing of a dumbed down rapper by Wise Intelligent. All right. We're going to read today. We're going to read chapter 3. We're just going to read chapter 3 today, maybe a little bit of chapter 4.
All right.
And then we're going to build a little bit.
I gotta find it.
Okay. Chapter 3 is page 66.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know what I mean? What's up to everybody up in here? You know what I'm saying? We representing the Zulu Union. For those of y'all who didn't know, also, this is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. And this is how I'm celebrating Hip Hop Appreciation Week. Got a couple things going this week, but today we getting into this, you know what I mean? Celebrating this as the element of the MC and the element of knowledge itself. We combining them today. You know what I mean? So this is the Order of Solar Flare Natives, Solar Flare Network, you know what I mean? Zulu Union representation, you know what I'm saying?
All right. All right, everybody. And as y'all can see, my brother got his page back up. So y'all can start following him back on Facebook and stuff like that. But y'all done seen that. So, okay.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that.
That was page 65.
Theirs is different. That's somewhere else.
Yeah, it's going to be different.
It's going to be different.
All right, y'all bear with us. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's 3 Fifths of King, man. I can just start reading, babe. You know what I mean?
No, I mean I didn't go through all this and got it on the screen, and you're gonna read something different.
Okay. This chapter 3, 3 Fifths of.
I should have had the chapter ready. Apologies, everybody. Now I'm really starting to be whack. All right.
Manufacturing a trap.
All right, y'all ready?
That's manufacturing prison culture. Trap at page 60. Yeah. That's what we need right there.
Yes. Okay, now I want to go to that, y'all. I guess you would think clicking on it would take you to the page.
Oh yeah, while I got y'all here too. Listen, for those y'all that don't know,
That's it.
All right. Yep, we're ready to go.
What were you gonna say to him?
Oh, I was about to say, my son. We can get into all this later anyway. My son dropped a beat tape last week. Now we got this chapter. We got the chapter up. We'll get into that in a second. All right.
What's up, Ray Major?
You know what I'm saying? Ray.
Also, he's my son too.
No doubt. Sorry about that. I didn't mean our son. We may be doing that sometimes. All right. So, manufacturing a trap. 3 Fifths of Kingpin. Manufacturing a trap. This contrived environment of inadequate or denied education, joblessness, and sharply cut funding to now Black-controlled central cities was further exacerbated by an influx of drugs from Laos, Vietnam War, 1965 through 69. That's that heroin. And South Central America, Cold War, Nicaragua, 1979 to 1985. That's that crack cocaine. That turned many of those parents and many of their children who didn't succumb to alcohol abuse to heroin and or cocaine addicts. Still, others and many of their children became drug dealers who, for lack of adequate employment, sought to capitalize on the emotionally spent population of newly created ghettos. If there hadn't been money in drugs, I never would have been involved. But for me, it was a way to get out of the ghetto. It was a way to have the American dream. Ricky Donnell Ross.
The real Rick Ross?
That's the actual Rick Ross.
All
yes,
right.
Yes. I'm the actual, not the rapper, the actual. You know
okay.
I mean? Yeah. I'm the dope man. Yeah, boy, wear corduroys. Pockets out to here, but I'm unemployed. I keep slinging them rocks and my pockets get bigger. You'll catch that 5-0, double up, niggas. NWA, the dope man. Did NWA and hip hop culture create the dope man? Are rappers like Jay-Z, Young Jeezy, and Birdman, who tell tales of copping, cooking, and flipping kilos of cocaine, responsible for the creation of the snowman? History says absolutely not. This is not to say that these rappers or any other Black men, women, and youth have not trafficked in the buying and selling of illicit drugs. The overwhelming majority of poor Black youth who sell or have sold illicit drugs do so out of poverty and want of all things. This state of impoverishment, as laid out in the preceding chapter, was created by the racist machinations, greed, and indifference of white businessmen, banks, real estate agents, and government officials. Every young Black male I grew up with or know, myself and rappers included, that sold illicit drugs on any level will tell you that they were poor as hell, and selling drugs was for them a way to acquire basic necessities and or to experience something fanciful, if not a way out of poverty. Take the ghetto legend Freeway Rick Ross, crowned the Sam Walton of crack cocaine by the Los Angeles Times, for instance. Rick Ross puts it this way. You know, a lot of people don't know what it's like to be coming in the house and there's nothing to eat. You know, to go to a supermarket and eat out of the cookies just to have something to eat. Cocaine came along and gave me a new horizon, I would say. In the lyrics to Push It, a song about pushing cocaine on the streets of Miami by the rapper who appropriated Rick Ross's given name as his stage name, we instantly recognized the same disillusioned, hopeless ghetto kid motivation. Port of Miami, importing the candy. Ain't got nothing to lose. I'm just supporting my family. Never traffic for fun, only traffic for funds. All I see is the struggle. It's like I'm trapped in the slum. Niggas were badly paid. Niggas no water, we barely bathe. Better be better days on the way. That's on my daddy grave. I'm pushing the hard. I'm pushing the soft. If he pushing the white, he pushing for Ross. That's the rapper Rick Ross.
So that's fake Rick Ross.
Yes, that's Rick Ross. Your man's in there. I can relate to the original Rick Ross's hunger. We poor righteous teachers group member Culture Freedom and I, no more than 14, 15 years old at the time, would walk into the local fine fare grocery store in Trenton, New Jersey, grab a shopping cart, and casually walk through the aisles, filling the cart with bread, lunch meat, and mustard. We'd make sandwiches right there in the store, eat them, and leave, but not before eating our fill of fruit from the produce section or consuming a few Little Debbie snack cakes. This is why many poor youths took to selling illicit drugs. This deprivation made the illicit drug game the most ubiquitous of businesses in the community. It appeared to be a viable option for many, and although illegal, our introduction to entrepreneurship. Standing on the corner of my block hustling, still getting that cane half what I paid, slipping right through customs. It'll sell by night, it's eggshell white. I got so many grams, if the man find out, it would land me in jail for life. Jay-Z, Big Pimpin'.
Anything you want to say about that?
What?
When he was talking about the intro, well, maybe it's something I want to say. I'm trying to put words in your mouth. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. He said a lot of people, the drug game was their introduction to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it is. It's like he's saying that, okay, you walking in a store and see, I haven't been that poor. So when I was reading this book, I was like, okay, I've never been in that situation where I had to go to the store. Really, I had nothing else to eat, and I got to go to the store and steal food to eat.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? And so if a person like that gets an opportunity, what KRS One saying, love's going to get you. You know what I'm saying?
He said, I do it once, I do it twice.
Right.
Now there's steak with the beans and rice.
Right.
You talking about with Rob? His gold is shimmery.
He gives me $200 for a quick delivery. Yeah. I do it once, I do it twice.
Yeah.
Now there's steak with the beans and rice. It's that scenario. And hip hop has been kind of saying that the whole time. You know what I mean?
What up, Kai? What up, everybody, man? You know, we sorry not stopping. You know, we reading, but just want to say peace to everybody. Floyd Vader, Kai, DJ Good. You know what I mean? Everybody, what's up?
Yes, I said appreciate the fan, appreciate the village, appreciate the love. Y'all know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let me see, where was I? Oh yeah, okay. I was at the top of the page. Still contrary to perceptions created by the heavily marketed, manufactured, dumbed down rapper rhetoric that has portrayed the black male as drug lord and kingpin, responsible for trafficking immeasurable amounts of illicit drugs into the country, as exemplified by the above lyrics by Sean Jay-Z Carter. Careful and honest analysis of the illicit drug trade reveals that black people in American ghettos standing on the corner of my block hustling were not and are not the reason for the country's historical and or present illicit drug problems. Complicit? Yes. However, the involvement was symptomatic and consequential. The majority of these local drug dealers, mostly young people, were mere victims of a government, Reagan, Bush, CIA, overseen and controlled initiatives that targeted unsuspecting, poor, predominantly black communities with tons of cocaine from South America to finance a war against the communist Sandinistas, which is the Sandinista National Liberation Front, or Frente Sandinista de Liberación Nacional.
Hey.
Who had taken control of Nicaragua in 1979 after the unseating of Anastasio Somoza Debayle. The Sandinistas were the democratically elected choice of the Nicaraguan people, but because the Sandinistas opposed foreign, i.e. U.S. exploitation of the country's manpower, wealth, and resources, and because communism was America's boogie monster from the 1950s to the late 80s, they, Sandinistas, had to be removed, and the brutal pro-American dictator Somoza returned to power. This initiative to overthrow Sandinista rule in Nicaragua was financed primarily with illicit drug money. You know what I mean? So it's like when we watched that little bit of snow with that snowfall, we watched that little bit. Remember how dude ended up giving the dude who started Snowfall the dope. Remember when he went to South America, when he went, his family was cooking the dope and bagging it up, and they was an army. They was like a militia, but that's how they was actually getting their money or whatever. So when you read this and you start seeing stuff like that, you start kind of putting two and two together. So really interesting. You know what I'm saying?
I want to read some too.
You want to read from here?
Although many mainstream rappers have been used by necessity to perpetuate stereotypes of the black male as American gangster-style drug kingpins and traffickers, to play on the illegitimate fears of white people that have historically casted black people as menace to American civilization, to make themselves victims of their victims, we learn from history that this was and is not the case. History and any student of it knows better. After the U.S. defeat. Okay, hold on. After the U.S. defeat in Vietnam in 1975, while hip hop music and culture was in its embryonic stage, the U.S. shifted its focus to Southern Africa in an attempt to counter the overthrow of pro-U.S. dictatorship by Southern African nationalist movements. According to Mahmoud Mamdani, author of Good Muslim, Bad Muslim, with the Sandinista-led Nicaraguan Revolution of 1979, that was a good year, the center of gravity of the Cold War shifted from Southern Africa to Central America. Oh, okay. So hold on. So the center of gravity of the Cold War shifted from Southern Africa to Central America, according to Mahmoud. When the Sandinista...
When the Sandinista led Nicaraguan Revolution in 1979, when they went against the U.S. was like, oh, we got to get out of Africa. We got to go over there to Central America and start.
So they shifted.
But it's like, when you look at this, is interesting. He just also said that the apartheid, which seems to me they sent Southern Africa. That's like apartheid time. Well, that's actually a little bit before. But right when Southern African governments are like, all right, we ready to kind of do our own thing. The American government, whenever any government, so people want to do their own thing, it seems that America pops up and now they kind of start involving themselves. And what I realized through the history and through this book is that the drug game is all in this. Yeah.
I mean, we mean.
It's like, well, the drug it's funding all of this.
Right.
You know, the drugs is funding all of this.
Right.
And it's insane.
So, yeah, America got his hands all in the drugs, talking about a war on drugs. So that's always been interesting.
That's what he gonna break it down.
He about to really break it down. So he kind of was leading up to saying how, if you really kind of like what you were saying about graffiti, about the concept of calling people vandals when the very government itself are vandals, you know, like themselves, when you look at the definition of vandalism. So it's the same here. It's like the war on drugs and the war on terror, but the very definition of white supremacy, the very definition of even a lot of this stuff, when you start talking about contraband and contra, you know, whatever, it's really American led in a lot of ways, and it's just funny. And then we are the poster people for it, and they use rap to become. So that's what he's starting to round us up on, like how almost like, how dare you say that we are the rappers are the ones, right? Okay, so interesting. I'm sorry. So I just want to kind of get my head around. It was a lot of information right there. I want to get my head around it. And let me see. Floyd Vader said, I learned how to be an ambitious and savvy business operator owner due to selling work. You selling work. You selling that work. Yeah, I mean, I know what he mean. No, like, I mean, not that I know, but you know, but it is like that. A lot of the entrepreneurship that we experience in the hood is either people who make stuff by hand and they get out there and sell it like that. Because we always leave that out. We've always had that. People that make soap and people that make, people that sell the incense and the oils and stuff. But then aside from the Muslims and stuff out there with the final call and all that stuff, who you really be seeing that's making money in the hood? You know what I'm saying?
You know, yeah. And it's like you said, it was the first opportunity, and it's the people say it even when you're in the music game. Oh, it's just like the drug game.
Right.
The more you get into business, American Business Corporation, for those who can relate, or somebody trying to teach somebody business who've been in the street, they be like, it's just like selling dope.
It is.
You get your product, you sell more, you buy for less, you sell for more. And you're right. So the concept.
And remember when we met Stickman said, so Stickman know what it's like to sell some work, to be in the music industry, and to write books. So Stickman had wrote his book, and he was saying how, you know what I'm saying?
It's the same thing.
He's like, it's the same thing, yo. He's like, really don't get in this thinking you gonna just make a big splash, because it's big pimping. They're just doing it with book publishing. Right. So it's not as hot like selling records, but but they're using the records to really paint a picture so that they can really pull this thing off. You know what I mean?
So they can do it, but it looked like Jay-Z and Rick Ross doing it.
Right.
And everybody's falling for it. Everybody internationally think it's going on. The kids think they're doing it and everything. And so it's like, meanwhile.
And see, that reminded me of Meg Thee Stallion and all them when they came out with WAP everybody was like, oh, should they have done that? But no one's really questioning the record label hardly enough. And it's the same thing. Who's standing over the crabs that are in the barrel snapping at each other?
Because
you know what I'm saying?
disrespect to Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, but it don't look like they are going to be like, no, it's the pandemic and we're not going to release that.
Right. Well, you know you can't, and then they can't do that. I mean, once you sign them contracts, right. And so, all right. So we're putting some perspective on it. All right. So let me go back up here. So it said the focus shifted from the Nicaraguan revolution, the center of the gravity of the Cold War shifted from Southern Africa to Central America. America's secret war against the Sandinistas involved the creation by the CIA of a counter-revolutionary, COINTELPRO, y'all, that's the same words, counter-revolutionary, there they go with the counter, force called Contras for short.
And so you be hearing that, when I was a kid in the 80s, listening to the news, you hear Nicaragua a lot. You heard the word a lot in the news. My mom,
and you heard the word Contra.
You heard Contra constantly.
Well, that was the big thing that happened with Oliver North. And then meanwhile, we're playing a game called Contra. Everybody know about Contra, gamers. But in Contra, you're running through the South American jungle, shooting niggas up, and it made me want to go back and watch and see, well, who are you shooting? Right. Who's the boss? Anybody? Who's the boss of the Contra games, y'all? If y'all can remember. But anyway, so I'm living in this ghetto life with a seed and a wife, and it don't look good. Crack life done changed my hood. I'm taking it back to 81. Nicaraguan coca rush. Contras often coke to offering. I guess it's supposed to be offering. Often coke to us. CIA don't make the bus, but help it cross the border. Plus, they organize the dealers because Somoza's Contras needs the dough from off the ghetto streets to overthrow the Sandinistas. Wise intelligent. I knew it was gonna be him or somebody with knowledge. All right, so I'm gonna keep reading a little bit. Then it'll be your turn. All right. In 1982, same year, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five released The Message. After the Contras came under public scrutiny for human rights violations, including but not limited to mining harbors, kidnappings, raping, and mass murder of heads of cooperatives, nurses, doctors, nuns, and judges, the U.S. State Department, under pressure from Congress, passed the Boland Amendment in 1984. All right, so this is from Mamdani's book. This amendment cut funding for all military and or paramilitary operations in Nicaragua. There we go. An act that prompted the Reagan-Bush administration to employ alternative means of funding the CIA, created and controlled Contras. Okay, hold up, because I like to actually understand. So what is it that made them have to kind of... So this amendment cut funding. Gotcha. So the Boland Amendment in 1984 cut funding after all
military operations in Nicaragua. That's why they had to sell the dope.
An act that prompted the Reagan-Bush administration to employ alternative means of funding the CIA, created and controlled Contras. So now they had the Contras popping, but now they need to figure out a way to keep funding it once it got cut. So fundraising objectives directed by Robert McFarland and Oliver North included asking the Saudis for $1 million per month and the same amount from the apartheid government of South Africa, as well as shipping tons of cocaine from Central America to African American communities in the U.S. All right, y'all, it's getting real up here.
Oh no, this book is
yeah.
No, he went in.
It's getting real. Did y'all see that? I mean, he just out and out said, look, when they cut the funding, they was like, look, let's find another way to keep this drug money going, and we're going to employ and involve the African American community. And sorry, y'all, this is what happens. This is what they do. This is the reason why certain people are scared of vaccines. This is the reason why certain people are scared of any kind of this stuff like the census and anything like that. Like, why don't you just answer the door and let them know how many people is in the house? Black people don't trust the government because historically, not just something we're saying, we have been the guinea pigs for a lot of the lanky stuff that they want to do or whatever, syphilis and all kind of drug trials and stuff like that on us. So Mamdani says that in a concerted effort to circumvent the Boland Amendment, the Reagan administration took two initiatives that were to have lasting impact on U.S. foreign policy. The first was to turn to the drug trade for an illicit source of funds. Mamdani continues, the pursuit of war by proxy led to an alliance of the CIA with drug dealers. Even though Nicaragua never produced coca as Laos did opium, CIA assets became a protective cover for the flow of cocaine from Central America to the United States in return for a reverse flow of materials and armaments from the CIA to the Contras. So you keep us with materials and arms, and we'll keep y'all with the cocaine, America. All right. The distribution of this cocaine was controlled by the Medellin cartel in Colombia, whose leaders were the infamous Jorge Ochoa and Pablo Escobar. Mamdani is correct in observing that the above Reagan-Bush initiatives would have a lasting impact on U.S. foreign policy. However, he did not mention in the lasting impact of these clandestine alliances on the country's domestic policies and targeted Black communities. So he didn't mention that, the lasting impact of what this would do and how targeting these Black communities in the United States would go to. Around the same time, Curtis Blow released the album Tough, and the Sugar Hill Gang released their eighth wonder without so much as a mention, let alone a glorification of Black men being drug lords or kingpins. So y'all see how he's pointing this out now, right? He's like, music is coming out and there's no mention of drugs in any of the movies. There's no, in any of the music. There's no kingpin talk yet. But meanwhile, all this stuff is going down in Nicaragua and somewhere else. And we thinking it ain't got nothing to do with us. But it's about to have something to do with us in a minute.
Well,
all right. And you can pick up the reading after I do this rhyme. So they give us guns and drugs. Then wonder why in the fuck we thugs. They want to count the slugs. Then come around here and fuck with us. They give us guns and drugs. Then wonder why in the fuck we thugs. They want to count the slugs. Then come around here with us. Then come around here and fuck with us. Ice Cube, why we thugs? All right.
These are facts of how cocaine reached and continues to reach urban populations throughout America. This history is not thoroughly analyzed or explored in mainstream forums in the context of the genocide or pogrom policy.
Oh, wait, am I with you?
Let me see. The history is
pogrom. This is a word I don't know.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm with you. Okay. This history is not thoroughly analyzed or explored.
I'll start that from there. This history is not thoroughly analyzed or explored in mainstream forums in the context of the genocide or pogrom policy, the act represented in relationship to Black America and drug dealing. Any conversation along the lines of getting to the root causes of America's illicit cocaine problem is quickly branded anti-American or unpatriotic, hate speech. Some rappers, as indicated by Ice Cube in Why We Thugs, have some knowledge of this history. Still, others for poverty and want of a better life will remain complacent. Compliant and complicit in the propagation of the mythical criminalizing perception that Black people in the ghetto are responsible for America's drug woes.
Come on.
Let me reword that. Okay, to me, to make that clear. He's basically saying that people, because they're poor, will remain complacent. You know, even though a lot of people know that those of us in the streets are not the ones doing the main, the getting the drugs or whatever, they will remain complacent, compliant, and complicit in the propagation. So they'll keep rapping about it. That's basically what he's saying. They'll keep rhyming about it. People will keep doing it, knowing that for real,
we're not the one.
This is not the case at all. You know what I'm saying? Want for a better life.
And then when we're selling drugs, who is it hurting? Us. And do racists care about us? So that's what be funny about this. I'm like,
I don't know.
It's an illusion. You know
Thus, inadvertently aiding in justifying racist drug policies.
Let me turn mine off too.
Thus, inadvertently aiding in justifying racist drug policies like the war on drugs, Clinton's 1999 crime bill, minimum mandatory sentencing guidelines, crack versus powder, CCE, which means continued crime enterprise, which was created for organized crime bosses and drug kingpins. Just listen to the lyrics of too many of today's popular Black rappers, many of whom paint lyrical pictures that help shape the opinion and concretize the perception of Black males as kingpins and drug bosses. shipping metric tons of cocaine into America when they are not shipping anything into this country or anybody on anybody's planes and vessels. Bricks by Gucci Mane, Dope Boys by T.I., Street Dreams by Nas, Corner Bodega by 50 Cent, White Girl by Young Jeezy, Hustlin' by Rick Ross, 10 Crack Commandments by Notorious B.I.G., Friend or Foe by Jay-Z are all examples of the pervasive mainstream magnification, promotion, and projection of Black males as America's drug dealing problem. How does a poor Black kid from Marcy housing projects in 1995 Brooklyn, New York, manage to ship a ton of cocaine from South America into the United States, but is somehow unable to ship his own music CDs across the Hudson River to New Jersey and other areas of the tri-state? He has to go to the rich white men that control the distribution of everything in this country, from missile warheads to bubble gum, in order to have his recordings distributed. Illicit drug distribution is controlled by the same Webb, Cockburn, St. Clair, Mamdani. Most rap acts making references to drug dealing were merely ghettoized dope boys turned rappers at best, or dumbed down manufactured rappers emulating local drug dealers at worst.
Okay, so let's just stop right there.
Man,
he said most acts making references to drug dealing are or were merely ghettoized dope boys. So in other words, you got people who are dope boys, and it's just like, you know what? Let's make you a rapper. Again, same thing like we found out about the pimp game and all of that stuff. It's like, no, the pimps didn't want drug dealers. The drug dealers came and ruined the pimp game.
Yeah,
made all the hoes into bummy.
Black Dynamite.
Yeah, because now you can start paying your hoes with drugs. Right. So the quality of the hoes went down, and the drugs really ruined the hood. A lot of I didn't really expect to hear the pimps say that. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, they had a certain code, not to praise pimping, but they had a certain code that they did have in place. Same with thugs, same with being in a gang. There's a certain code that was in place, and drugs came in and just made zombies out of everybody and made the money be so good that of course people gonna kill each other. People who don't got nothing, who's sitting up here in a pressure cooker, and then you're gonna throw something that's just like throwing money in the air, you know, around a bunch of really, really poor and broke people. And then here you come and you're gonna throw money in the air. And it's like all I gotta do is rap about that. Yeah. And I can kind of relate to it. Because you can see yourself in Scarface and stuff. When you're looking at Scarface, you can see yourself in that. You can relate to that. Especially Scarface. Scarface, it ain't like The Godfather. The Godfather was from a famous rich family already. Scarface was poor. He was working in a burger joint or a pizza joint or wherever he was at. You know what I'm saying? And so he came from nothing. So Black people can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
And they know that.
We Scarface heads. Yo, what up, Level Up Art? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's up?
Appreciate it, man.
What's up?
You know what I'm saying?
And that sounds interesting, Kai. That medical apartheid. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That sounds like Nutricide.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Dr. Africa, which I'm gonna read one day. So he said, so what's the rhyme here? Fuck the frail shit.
Fuck the frail shit. Because when my coke come in, they got to use the scales that they weigh the whales with. Lucky because I got guns that crack your back. That's not what I prefer. I manufacture crack.
Wow. Ran
through enough coke for Castro to build schools in Cuba, teaching kids how to read and write and use the Ruger. Jadakiss, we gonna make it. We gonna make it.
And then listen how creative we are. What better people to sell your drug movement for you than Black people with these lyrics?
Yeah, with the poetry, with the rhymes, with the beats, with again, unfortunately, with the will and the complicity that he mentioned earlier.
Like I said, complete compliance.
Yeah, just
complete cooperation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in your heart, you know that's not what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just think a lot of cats who was even selling dope on a minor scale became rappers or whatever. Even when they were selling dope on a minor scale, had the aspirations of being maybe Pablo. Everybody, like you said,
it's an attractive life. I mean, I can see the attractiveness of it. I'm not no hustler or nothing like that. I'm definitely not a street dude. But I watch it. I like Scarface in Godfather. I see the and that's what them saying. Let's sell the drugs to the niggas in Harlem.
Right. That's what Godfather. That's what
I still will watch the movie. That shows you that double think and that compliance and that complicity. Like, we got knowledge of self, and I still will occasionally sit down and spend hours of my life watching the Godfather series of movies, and I'll open my black lips and say, "This is a good movie."
Yeah.
But it's a movie about the usage of us to to continue to do bullshit and do it in our name.
Right.
And with the money, with the music, they put a soundtrack to it and managed to change the pro-black movement of the music right in the middle of its height. You know what I mean? With this drug joint.
Well, as far as the what everybody's calling the golden era was immediately interrupted with the propagation of this. You know what I mean? And this kind of was the beginning of that. The end of the golden era was a big upward hope, downward dope. Light people in MCing and rapping was actually going against it. But see, when you look at what's really good, it's a lot of drug money behind a lot of the rappers that y'all were listening to in the 80s too. So it's an interesting dynamic we're dealing with here. You know what I mean? So,
and when we were talking earlier or yesterday, whenever that was, about how, and then I'll let you get back on it, about how the mob, the mob has always had a hand in the music industry anyway.
Oh yeah.
So if the mob starts dealing drugs, whoever is in the music industry is in a roundabout way complicit.
I mean, yeah, that's why drugs were always available. Why can everybody get high backstage?
Right.
Where is this cocaine coming from? You know what I'm saying? It's, again, a young Ray Charles can't afford no cocaine coming from a farm or something. You know what I mean? So
right.
How did he end up on heroin? You know what I'm saying? It's great. Just being backstage or whatever, and it's like that. I think a lot of it ends up in our, even when you go to the 1920s, when you got Duke Ellington and them, who were like the hip hop people spiritually of their day, where they were the ones playing instruments, but they was also revolutionary people. They was also smoking a little weed, and all it took was one band member to end up
strung out,
whatever. And there's a whole, you got an issue going. You know what I mean? So there was always, you know what I mean, there was always those of us willing to move this along. You know what I'm saying? In fact, one study released by the Justice Department found that less than 1% of those jailed and given stiff mandatory sentences by federal courts fit the profile of drug kingpins. These are 3/5 MCs, manufactured, dumbed down rappers, propagating the myth because to tell the truth is to commit career suicide. The above lyrics by Jadakiss are of particular importance because he and his group, the Locks, were hard pressed to be released from Sean P. Diddy Combs' Bad Boy Records. How is it possible for someone to move so much coke that they got to use the scales they weigh the whales with and still go on national radio to complain about being robbed by P. Diddy? And lame it how he's stopping the group from getting paid. The lore concerning black male ghettoized kingpins supports the stereotyping status quo and deflects focus from the real kingpins and drug bosses, who are mostly government agencies and officials, diplomats, bankers, leaders of the USA and other countries. Whiteout, Cockburn, St. Clair. CIA officer Robert Steele kept it 100 official with us when he said that the war on drugs is being used against poor people and not against the people that benefit most from drugs, which is the bankers that launder the money.
All right. It's sort of like the television series Cops, where for an entire hour, police rapidly chase drug-addicted car thieves and petty drug dealers through hyper-segregated, poverty-concentrated ghettos for mostly non-violent, consensual adult activity that has been legislatively criminalized. Meanwhile, the international businessmen like Alan Stanford laundered tens of millions in Mexican Gulf cartel drug money. Sip mate or with George W. Bush are praised by Bill Clinton and sponsored the National Democratic Institute Convention. This black male drug lord mythology serves to acquit Pontius Pilate, white power structure, of any wrongdoing in the apparent genocide against America's black and non-white population. Record labels have made billions, financing, marketing, and promoting and distributing the idea of the black male drug lord while refusing to finance, market, promote, distribute, and advance the artistic offerings of rappers presenting a more accurate context concerning how ghettoized drug dealers are at best a symptom of drug trafficking and not a part of the causative process. Now, that was one sentence. That paragraph. All right. And it was a hell of a sentence too. He said that. He said that. All right. So this is what we should have said more of when we were talking about Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B. Because a lot of us, even those of us with knowledge of stuff, we zeroed in on, well, men do it, so it should be okay for women to do it now. And we're down here in the ants in the grass fighting about these little crumbs. We're really up here at the top this is who is really responsible. It doesn't take away the responsibility of Meg Thee Stallion. It doesn't take away the responsibility of anybody, Jadakiss, who said those lyrics. I'm not knocking the man. You know what I'm saying? I understand. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it's a bigger, and it's just like addressing anything, the school system or anything like that. You're not going to talk about how dumb the kids are. You can't do that without talking about the principal and the teacher and the school board and the funding and all of the things that made this storm to create this type of child. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You can't look at little old Cardi B. Cardi B could be anybody.
Yes.
You know, insert person. There is no spoon, but Cardi B represents a thing, a brand that they want to create around a certain thing so they can achieve underneath it all. So I think a lot of people don't believe it because they think that people just do this so that they can be mean to black people. And that's a part of it. But that ain't why. There's a motive, y'all, behind all of this stuff. And we're just cannon fodder. We're collateral damage. But we're just the easiest ones to do it with. Because, you know, because of all of the racism and stuff.
That's what you're saying. You've been put in a impoverished situation coming from policies from the 40s. For those of us who've been hanging with us, y'all know how hip hop started, how New York was doing the policy or whatever, and how like even the Black Panther Party said, well, if I take the drugs from the drug kingpin and give it to the cops just gonna sell it to the
right.
The cops gonna put it back out in the streets.
Right.
So we dealing with that too. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, you know, in of it. Just let's not act like we don't hear these rappers also say how they have relationships with the police, how they can pay the police off, how they got police on their payroll. So the relationship with these same people who are killing us at will, some of us are seen that are having with, you know, drug dealers or act like they haven't or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's just an interesting paradox that we are in as a people, especially a people of hip hop.
Well, there's always someone, there's always a Candace Owens. There's always a person who's willing to be that buffer between our people and like I said, it's the head slave. There's always the head slave. There's always that person who it's just like, hey, you know, I mean, even Cardi B said it. She's like, hey, if I rap about, he said this earlier, if I rap about, positivity is career suicide for me, especially now that I already put it out there that I would rather rap about this. And it's like, meanwhile, y'all, I'm a damn stripper. I come from this is better than what I was doing. So for her, it's a no-brainer. But you know how she affects the young girls and everything, whatever. All right. So the manufactured dumbed down rappers being financed to advance the stereotype of inherent black male criminal deviance comes across as if he has no soul. A morally bankrupt, oversexed, overdosed, misogynistic, reckless criminal. His role portrays black men as ignorant and obsessively self-indulgent, angry, physically strong, mentally weak, animalistic, and prone to wanton violence, intellectually childlike, physically unattractive, or black and ugly as ever. Oh my God. To quote the late B.I.G., and neglectful of their biological families. You know, you read something and it start hurting a little bit.
Yeah, this book is
yeah. And I never liked the Black is Ugly as ever, Black and Ugly as ever. And however, and then he start naming brand names.
Yeah, stay Gucci down to the socks.
You know what I mean? So my blackness is offset by these labels that I put on. You know,
that worked too.
And it's just like wow, you know what I mean? And that was his image, the sweater. You know what I mean? And to know that he really don't feel like he's a beautiful person.
Oh no, because he know there was a time in his life when he wasn't.
To people,
It's interesting because this drug game transferred a lot of brothers I knew like Biggie, who let girls would laugh, joke. They ain't got nothing for a dude that looked like that back in the day. Oh, he show up a couple months later with a Benz and gold teeth in his mouth. These same chicks are like, yo, you know, what's up? You know, and then the quickness, it was rapid, y'all. I mean, I looked up and my homeboys were selling dope. I mean, I'm serious. That's kind of how it was. You go to school one day, your homeboy poor on Monday. Friday, this way he got a chain around his neck. We got a really dope shirt on. You're like, yo, what did that? Yo,
right.
And it was always in car. Of course, cats can't really get in to tell you what they're doing. You know, cats is young. You know what I mean? And that's how all that started. I remember, you know, I was there. A lot of us in hip hop weren't there pre-crack, pre-drugs in the neighborhood. I actually witnessed 5 to 6 years of a black neighborhood with no crack in it, yo. And it's nothing like what we've been dealing with right now. Nothing at all.
Well, I mean, when you really analyze through it, again, a lot of us, we just have TV to reference when we try to imagine people back in the day, you know, and now they start to make all these shows about pre 70s us, pre 50s us and 40s us and what we were going through. Affluent black, there's a lot of black affluence in our history once we got free from slavery. You could just see how quickly we start to try to rebuild. It's just in our nature. We're very creative. We learned a lot of skills during slavery, even though all of us weren't slaves. So I'm not trying to sit here and perpetuate that myth either. All of us were not slaves, you guys. And all of us did not come over here on those boats either. Sorry, it's just not true. So that being the case, a lot of us had a lot of skills from doing that work, that hard work out in the sun. You know what I mean? If you got to work from sun up to sundown, and sometimes by moonlight, and then and you get free, and now you get to go and kind of do what you want to do. You done already did the hardest things you could ever do, and you have a lot of skills too. So that, again, here they come with the unions and stuff to keep us from being able to be affluent. But my point is, we are naturally affluent. Like, if you leave us alone, we always rise up because we've been through so much. We're very creative people, and we are loving. You know, in general, this is definitely a stereotype, because if you think about, if we really are these kind of, what he said, mentally weak, animalistic, prone, especially the brothers, then how has the white supremacy been so effective on us? Why haven't we fought back more, or whatever it is? It's because it's not true. We're naturally actually meek and mild people. And of course we're strong, but we're not.
But it's interesting you say that. You know that. We know that when you look at the history of, people ask, okay, so if Africa was such a great place, how did we get conquered? How did the Europeans take over? It was number one, it was their time. We already know, the da-da-da-da. But also the differences in the natures of people.
Right.
When the Europeans ran up on us, you got to think about that. Our ancestors, they were hunter-gatherers. They killed for a living. They had to kill to eat. They had to kill animals. People take that lightly when you read about it, but that was their mentality.
You're talking about the Europeans?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they came from a colder place
to survive, where we were growing food. No, we're making life to survive. They're killing. And so, boom, those two different natures clash, like you were saying earlier. And
not that, because I know how people are. Not that we didn't kill no animals, or not that they weren't growing any food. We're not saying that.
We're talking about the nature.
We're talking about the nature. We're not saying that only that white people never grew nothing, or that black people never killed nothing.
Right.
But yeah, but y'all know in Europe it's harsher. It's a harsher environment. It's definitely not prone to agriculture. Y'all know that. So people get triggered by something you say, and you're like, well, y'all know.
Well, yeah, I was just
that agriculture comes from Africa.
Yeah, hunter-gathering versus agriculture. Those are two different whole kind of mentalities. When you just look at that at a bare basic and see the differences, it's the same thing. I'm just trying to compare that, make sure everybody see. It's the same thing what you were just saying. Basically, it's sad because people think we're these people at heart.
Right.
They think this is how we are. Now we do look like, and we're only killing ourselves. We're not killing nobody else.
But then if a real supremacist would stop and say to themselves, well, okay, of all the black people I know, have they ever really? That's why it was always funny to me when people like, well, you don't go out in the hood. Don't go to the hood. Don't go to certain parts of the hood. I'm like, why not? Ain't not gonna happen to you. Like, the people in the hood ain't gonna do nothing to you. Your white skin totally protects you. And the hood ain't like people portraying it.
That's another thing.
I done went through the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't raised in the hood. But I relate to the shit. You know what I'm saying? Going through the hood, I never felt like nobody was going to rape me. I never felt like nobody was going to jump out and get me. I'm not saying that I wasn't aware of nothing like that, but I'd have been walking down the street, Baltimore at 2 a.m, getting off the train and stuff, getting off the bus, 2 a.m, having to go up to the school or whatever. I never felt like nobody black was going to get me, because we're not like that.
No,
we're just not. I'm not saying that none of us are rapists or nothing like that. Most of them, when you was talking about that, most of us, we don't linger around the trash can and jump out and dive. Your uncle or something might rape you. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be a secret.
The molestation issue with us as a people is kind of where a lot of our larceny goes in. But you don't see brothers jumping around corners, grabbing women and humping them, and all that.
Yeah, and that concept of the black ape, diving out. This, but they use the music and paying us a lot of money. What Kai say? She said they they sell music and self-hate, and they know that we are destitute. So you can always find somebody to say, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
He won't do it. He got too much dignity. I want that money. Let me get that bag, son. You know what I mean? And we're gonna sell the people out. So
what up, Bonnie Love?
Yeah, let's say some shout outs. Yeah. So y'all, we'll do this and we're gonna go ahead and it'll be your turn to read. All right. So Bonnie Love, what's up? You know what I mean? You Dak Best. I don't know if I never be saying that right. You the K Best. Anyway, you know what I mean? Thanks for having y'all up here. You know what I mean? No doubt. We're reading 3/5. Go ahead and hold that thing up for us.
Oh yeah. We're reading 3/5. An MC, the manufacturing, of a dumbed down rapper. Wise, intelligent, poor righteous teachers. For those of y'all that don't know, for those of you in here that do know, you already know what it is. This is about, but this book went a lot with my book. We'll get into my book in a second, but this book kind of brought my book home, kind of. You know
it did.
Yeah, no doubt, sis. True that. Thank you.
All right. So their biological family, the dumbed down rapper is where we're at.
Is it my turn?
Mhm.
Okay. The dumbed down rapper, whether he or she is packaged as the gangster bitch, pimp, hoe, queen bitch, drug dealer, killer, baller, or kingpin, does no more for the perception of the Black African in America than the coon, brute, Tom, mammy, buck, step and fetch it, jigaboo, Sambo, Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, and other racial caricatures. Add the fact that he's embedded in a power relationship that demands of him a complete dismissal of anything resembling a protest or a political stance. The injury is incalculable. And this is why such images are heavily marketed and promoted by the culturally hegemonic.
I think it's hegemony is the root. So I think hegemonic
white power structure. Such images perpetuate the myth of white superiority and the desired perception of Black inferiority and or innate criminality. This book is by no means an indictment of today's mainstream rap artists. I must make clear that the perceived destruction and or reckless behavior exhibited by most of today's mainstream rappers represent what those who control the social machinery for mass public opinion manipulation want the world to believe about Black America in general. This indictment is of the manufacturer and not the product. This dangerous single narrative that excludes all contrasting lifestyles and attitudes prevalent throughout Black America not only serves to justify social, racial, and economic injustices, it also effectively shifts blame for 400 years of violent repression away from the perpetrators and squarely on the shoulders of its victims. Today's mainstream rappers' actions and or behavior are as much a conditioned reflex as little Black girls choosing the white dog over the Black dog. When every life-sustaining institution in a society, from the food supply, water, education, employment, access to opportunity, and wealth, is controlled by someone besides you. Excuse me, I know that's where my heart is.
Tell him, boo.
The dynamics of such a power relationship gives the controller of life's necessities some degree of dominion over you and the ability to normalize self-destructive behavior. Behavior that works against the best collective interests of the group. I'm going to stop there.
I'll pick up from here. But did you want to say something? Because I definitely want to say something about that.
Yeah. Go ahead. You go.
Well, I just thought that last part, I thought this last part was really poignant because he was saying that I just think when a person says to you, you know, well, why don't you change your situation? Why don't you blah, 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 blah? And it's like, well, for one, what makes you think nobody has tried, you know, to do that? These are the people who were hung and lynched. These are the people who get set up for the molestations. These are the people who get set up for the whatever, all the okie doke, right? All right. So this is the Black Wall Street. This is the whatever. So there's countless, and there's a lot of unsung Black Wall Streets and stuff like that, where you, again, see us trying to pull ourselves out of these problems, trying to fix them. But when the very food supply, that's strong.
I mean, that's
the
heavy,
water,
you know,
the education, the employment. I think, and a lot of you with knowledge yourself can relate. When I looked up and I kind of realized that it was everything, that it was, and that's why the Matrix movie for Black people in particular, and pro-Black people on top of that, was so it almost is a scary. The Matrix is scary because you're like, this is real. The Matrix is real. That's not just a movie. That's some real shit right there.
Right.
But for having knowledge yourself, it's like that. When you wake up and that's why so many of us in the conscious community use that's why they call it the red pill and the blue pill, because that's what it's like. It's like one day you took a pill and you woke up and you could see everything. Or it's just like that movie, They Live, or whatever it's called. They Live, I think. And that when the dude had the sunglasses, and every time he pulled them down, stuff said obey, and there was aliens everywhere and stuff. That's what it's like when you start looking up and learning. Okay, we're in a maze. It's like that one rat that's like, don't it seem like this is the same hallway we just ran down? Or, you know what I mean? Don't this cheese taste funny or whatever? And then it's like, hey, I'm the one rat. They just killed the one rat. That's all. The one rat that wakes up. So that's what the Animatrix animated series is about. A lot of them are about little different instances other than Neo of different people waking up from the Matrix and realizing they're in it. And then the agent showing up, just trying to contain the spill of consciousness that's happening from this one person. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So It's the same here. So it's not as simple as you just waking up and deciding you're going to be a vegan or do whatever. We know from trying to do that how hard that is to do, how hard it is to find something that actually, a bag of chips that don't got milk in it, you know, some stuff that don't got MSG in it, stuff that's not made with meat products or something like that. It's very, very difficult for you to actually do right on a day-to-day basis. So it's the system, you know, and don't hate the player, hate the game. I've never completely agreed with that. I think the player is definitely responsible to an extent, because
He's a part of the
if
game.
you stop playing, there will be no game.
There's no game.
But we know that the conductor of the game is this big monster and you're just a little old person. So it's hard to demand that of someone. You know what I mean? Hey, NBA players who made it out of the hood and are now making millions of dollars a year, go ahead and jeopardize your career by speaking up.
Right.
I can understand why that might be hard to do for some people, especially depending on where they came from. And everybody is not proud of where they came from.
And everybody is not a revolutionary.
Everybody not revolutionary.
Not, you know,
some people were raped and stuff by their black uncle, and they don't look at us like we look at. You know what I mean?
Not everybody's lot in life, especially when you look up and you see that how football players kind of nearly need to be naked, just as an example, to get weighed in. You
said that, yeah. You was telling me
you know
about
what
that.
I mean? And it's just like how they were selling us as slaves. Okay, so if someone's willing to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
No disrespect, with millions of dollars, no question. Then already you kind of, all right, man. You know what I mean? If you watch Colin Kaepernick take a knee by himself, when every defensive back in the NFL, I say 98.7% is black. 98% of the running backs in the NFL are black. You know what I mean? And when you look up and
Colin Kaepernick half white, and he like, look, I'm willing to jeopardize my shit.
And he by himself.
That say a lot.
And took a knee. You know what I mean? That's when I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, again, you know, so
what are we doing here?
Right.
But then that goes to our responsibility. I'm not gonna keep watching these games every but my point is that's what we're saying about this. He was like the water, the employment, the way it's bigger, because you can't stop. You can't just be like, hey, rapper, stop rapping about that. There's a system that he's in that's creating that the perfect storm for him to rap about that. Yeah.
I mean, everybody around him. There's enough people on the poor side to support him. Mm-hmm. There's enough people on the corporate side to support him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, criminology rappers, they'll get put on a show. Yeah, no, you already know that. You already know that, Carl. You already know that, brother. Mm-hmm. And cats will put on a show and be, you know, and this kind of, the whole criminology thing, rapper thing is interesting. Like when they'll go on Red Bull, right?
Right.
And they'll treat these motherfuckers like they're poets, like Langston Hughes. You know what I mean? And no disrespect.
on Red Bull Academy, yeah.
Right. You know, people like very poetic brother or whatever. But then it's like you act like this man ain't rapping about.
Right.
So when you talked about the bitches and
I feel you.
I'd be like, yo, what the? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on. You know what I mean?
What was we was playing some Nas the other day or something, and he was saying something, and I was like, damn. And it made me realize how much I have had as a woman listening to hip hop. And then we'll go ahead and go to tamp down how I feel about how I naturally feel hearing some of those lyrics, just so I can enjoy hip hop, just so I can enjoy my brother's music that they're making. I gotta kind of sit and listen to you talk about how I ain't shit as a woman, or, you know, I told my bitch I put something and all this stuff. You know what I mean? We doing with our vaginas in the song stuff. Some of the stuff. I mean, RZA, 5% RZA, spit on her, then I bang my chest like Kong King. You know, and like, for one, RZA, no, you didn't. You ain't spit on her.
Yeah, that's
you would die if she left you, man.
But what did RZA openly admit in his book that I wrote? That was a good book. He was high as gas. Back to drugs. We back to it again. RZA high as gas.
What happened with Isaiah? Even though Isaiah Banks is Isaiah Banks. I'm not trying to act like Isaiah Banks is just, who's high as gas. Isaiah Banks is also, like Kanye in a way, just off enough to kind of tell the raw truth, and people can't stand it, right?
That's that part of her brain that clicks her and Kanye. They from the same planet,
right? But she from she kind of more a little strong with the consciousness, you know. With him, he skirted, he be kind of cooning and stuff. With her, she kind of be like, look, I don't give all y'all niggas be. She was like, RZA, you was trying to get another movie with Russell Crowe, and you was willing to throw me under the bus to do it. So my point, I only brought that up because she said Russell Crowe spat on her and RZA did nothing.
Yeah.
RZA admitted that that's exactly what happened. Right. Later, he admitted it after having thrown her on the bus and saying that he paid for her to go get mental checkups. And my point is, it was about being spat on. And it's interesting that in his lyrics, he would be like, spit on her, then I bang my chest like Kong King. So then she's like, hey, Russell Crowe spat on me. And RZA didn't do anything. And then when TMZ asked him about it, he threw me under the bus. You know what I mean? When I'm down there trying to record the soundtrack so we can get this movie out.
Right.
So anyway, this is deep. Dr. Amos in the falsification. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say this, if you don't mind, because he just kind of broke down the rat. This paragraph, unless you want to, is Dr. Amos Wilson, but he broke down just how the rat trap.
He gave another long example of this paragraph, which was basically how if people make this maze for you, if they control your food.
He doing the rat in the maze.
Yeah, if you want to read it.
I do want to read it. Okay, so
now I got a little bit more to read. If everybody want to stick around, and we good.
We good. We make it. It's just an hour. We got time. So y'all, I meant to say this at the beginning, and apologies on that, and apologies to you. We're trying to go ahead and build up FATS's Twitch Culture Chronicle page. This is on Culture Chronicles right now. Everything that we air, all of these are on both my channel. Because Fats, when we started doing this, Fats lost his account. Somebody hacked his account. So he lost his Facebook account, and it made, it kind of threw off his following always followed him on his Facebook page. So we're just getting that back up today. But in the meantime, we're trying to get his Twitch account up. Go ahead and get him affiliated and get him going. So I meant to say, y'all go over there and watch this from there. But going forward, we're going to get it. You know what I mean? All right. So Dr. Amos, in the falsification of African consciousness, gives us the example of the Skinner rat. In this example, Wilson reminds us of how the rat is put in a box and can only eat if it performs a particular behavior. So if it pushes a lever, it is only as a result of pushing that lever that it is allowed to eat. Come on, bruh. The experimenter determines when it is going to drink. He determines the living conditions in which this rat must survive. The rat becomes conditioned and changes as a result of the fact that the man has control over vital things in its life. The modern mainstream or dumbed down rapper is no different than the rat in Dr. Wilson's example. The vital things in the mainstream rapper's life, like the rat, are controlled by the major label, which then controls when the rapper eats. Come on, bruh. Come on, Wise Intelligent.
I'm sorry we did read this. Yeah, keep going.
When he drinks and determines the living conditions in which the rapper must survive. This gives us a much clearer picture of the catchphrases. I gotta eat. Come on, man.
No, the book is phenomenal.
Bro. Come on, man.
The book is phenomenal.
Used by most mainstream rappers when apparent destructive behavior comes into question. I gotta feed my daughter, right?
I gotta do. The rapper has surmised that
the rapper has surmised that he do what he do in order to eat, just like the rat in the B.F. Skinner experiment explained by Dr. Wilson. If the rat, does not behave in a certain way, push the lever to dispense the food, the major label, the experimenter who controls the food, the money, will not feed him. Is this why we refer to money as cheese? And the place where we take this money as the trap?
Uh-oh.
Have we accepted the role of the lab rat? Come on, Wise.
Why did I not want to read that?
I don't know.
Anyway.
That brought it home. And you see how he had to do, because this is how brainwashed we are. We'll lose the metaphor in the middle. Well, what is he saying? So he let me make sure. He said, if the rapper, the rat, the major label, the experimenter, don't forget who we talking about, because we forget every time. We'll read all of this, and next time somebody come out with something, we're gonna go back to them same dumbass arguments, and we are never gonna bring up Universal. We're never gonna bring up Sony. We're never gonna bring up none of the people who are really running this stuff. Right. So white crimes blow away.
And nobody ended up here. I just got to read this a little bit, I think.
Blow away. It's something like a phenomenon. Let's go.
All right. Ain't none of these crackers locked for the rest of their life in jail, for the innocent folk they shot, or the guns and drugs they sell. Wise Intelligent, genocide. U.S. government agencies, and other organized crews of white males really control and profited from the illicit drug game, but somehow America's black male and black community are made the scapegoat, criminalized, over-policed, and disproportionately incarcerated for it. Athletics rejected, governors corrected, gangsters, thugs, and smugglers are thoroughly respected. The money gets divided, the women get excited.
Hey.
Now I'm broke, and it's no joke. It's hard as hell to fight it. Don't buy it. White Lines, Grandmaster Flash. On Grandmaster Flash, that was actually Melly Mel, but yeah. In the late 1970s, the Miami-Columbia drug connection was 80% of an estimated $20 billion cocaine market, and black males were far from being the culprits. At the same time that the rest of the country was going through a recession, unemployment was rampant, the real estate market was collapsing. However, in Miami, dealers couldn't keep enough cars on their lots, Rolexes in the jewelry stores, or homes for sale. Miami's economy was booming from the flow of cocaine, and neither rappers nor the black community were benefactors.
Come on.
Lacking storage space for the money generated from cocaine flow, Miami banks began storing their money
at the Federal Reserve Miami branch. In 1979, Continental National Bank deposited $600 million in cash with the Federal Reserve, when the average amount for banks its size was only $12 million. In 1980,
wait a minute, hold on. So he's saying they made so much money, they ran out of space to keep it, and they had to start depositing the money in the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
In 1980, the Federal Reserve Miami branch generated a surplus of over $5 billion, more money than all the other Federal Reserve banks in the country combined. Miami in 1981 was considered the most dangerous place in America. However, this did not stop one public official from concluding that drugs destroy a community when you're dealing with the street level dealers. When you're talking about drug dealing on a level where major drug dealers are living here, vacationing here, buying homes, laundering their money, and so forth, that picks up the economy of the city or the community. The city of Miami was built almost entirely from drug money.
Come on.
I bought my first key from my baby mama brother. I bought my first key. Bought my first key.
I bought my first key.
I bought my first key. I bought my first key from my baby mama brother. Okay. I cook it up myself and start passing out them hubbers, hustling on my city streets trying to get a whole B. I bought my first key. In 93, and we was getting them for like 25. Colombian Connect homie, we was getting fly. Birdman featuring Lil Wayne. First key. The illicit drug trade is not a poor black boy on the corner problem. We're talking about a $350 billion a year illicit drug industry. How long do you think it took before the Federal Reserve, Wall Street, local and national politicians, corporate CEOs realized the drug business was the business to be in? Not long. In fact, according to several historians on the subject, Cockburn and St. Clair, for example, the CIA was actually involved in the Southeast Asian opium trade during the Vietnam War.
Actively.
As laid out above, the Reagan-Bush administration immediately came in and took over the trade, and the wild white cocaine cowboy traffickers like Barry Seal were soon working for him. The National Security Archives has posted much declassified documents on Lieutenant Oliver North's connection to and relationship with Manuel Noriega and other U.S. Justice Department classified narco-terrorists like Jose Bueso Rosa. There are North's diary entries noting multiple reports of drug trafficking by the Contras who were under his control. There are also memos from North aide Robert Owens to Oliver North recounting drug running indiscretions among the Contras and warning that a known drug smuggling airplane was delivering taxpayer-funded humanitarian aid overseen by Lieutenant North. Also archived are North's White House emails recounting his efforts to spring from prison a Honduran general who could spill the beans on the secret Contra war, even though the Justice Department termed the Honduran a narco-terrorist for his involvement in cocaine smuggling and an assassination plot. The Kerry Commission.
Let me get some.
You're about to wind it up. Go ahead.
The Kerry Commission report noted that the drug trafficker Jose Bueso Rosa, the Reagan administration aided, was involved in what the Justice Department believed to be the most significant case of narco-terrorism yet discovered. Then there are Ollie North's White House emails and diary entries. On his personal meeting on September 22nd, 1986 with Noriega, they had emails in? All right.
That blew me away when I read this too.
Okay.
Like, wow.
Pages, let me see. What happened? Oh, hold up, y'all. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, pages 145 through 146 of the text in the Kerry subcommittee report directly quote 15 North notebook entries related to drug trafficking. Drug money sustains world economies. National and international banks launder and use drug money to keep a healthy supply of liquid cash flow on hand. The Federal Reserve knowingly stores and uses drug money. Wall Street courts foreign drug lords to persuade them to launder their money through NYSE. Both the Republican and Democratic parties court drug money to finance political campaigns, etc. So he's saying they romancing the drug money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They seek it and they wine and dine it so it'll come and help them out. Poor black kids in American ghettos are just a convenient red herring in the 3/5 of an MC. The manufactured dumbed down rapper is financed, marketed, and promoted in ways that facilitate this deception. A street kid gets arrested, gonna do some time. He got out 3 years. He got out 3 years from now just to commit more crime. A businessman is caught with 24 kilos. He's out on bail and out of jail. And that's the way it goes. White lines. Boo-doo, 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 boo-boo. I got money in the bank. I got money in the bank, shorty. What you drinking? All right, so we stopping there?
Yeah, we stopping right here.
Okay.
We stopping right there.
So, Fest, that was very informative. For those who did tune in, it was a cute little audience, but I think they were very engaging. What you think?
Oh, yeah, you know,
that was powerful.
Yeah, various people, for everybody that came through, slid through, could do whatever. I see a stick girl, sis had to go mod or whatever, and so I appreciate everybody for coming through and sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is near and dear to me, and it's something that I feel like we've gotta get in front of. This is one of the pink elephants.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, in the hip hop room, in the hip hop nation, if you will, that we are overlooking. I'm so glad he wrote this book. This book was a prayer answer for me. I mean, it said it took him a very long time. You can see the research he went through to get this. He did
it's a lot. Thick book. Ain't no pictures. It's just info.
all information or whatever. I've only gotten about a quarter through it, but when I read that part, I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta put Fam D. I
like the way what he did too at the very end. I like the fact that he didn't go on and on. He was like, look, just read the released documents that the government released about what happened with the Iran Contra affair.
Quick thing. I'm glad you said that. Some time ago, I think I was still working at the shipyard. After a certain amount of time, by law, the government has to release certain information, classified.
That's right.
They have to release it to the
20,
public.
30 years. I forgot what it is.
Right. They got to release it regardless of what went down. This is why the books like this are now coming out. My book too. You know, books like this are coming out because there's now information out that there was once theory, cats were speculating, our elders and ancestors, warrior scholars, and now this stuff is coming on out. And it's like, man, you know what I mean? So that's what you're kind of dealing with. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with that. And when you look at the situation, again, you know, what can we do? What are we going to do? You know, some of our, you know, children's biggest heroes are, you know, drug kingpins, drug lords or whatever. And then when you look at the dynamic of how a drug kingpin or a drug dealer is made, how do we ask us to not support this anymore? It's not like we were talking about this in the beginning of the conversation. That's not easy. We're looking at people in different situations. Like what Nova was saying earlier, people who go play football are not necessarily revolutionary minded.
Yeah, they just want to play football and get out of the hood.
As we read in this book, people who got to go to the store to eat, steal to eat because they ain't got nothing in their house to eat. Right. You know what I mean? What when the drug dealer come up on them, is love gonna get them? Right. You know what I mean? What?
And then you got gang culture forcing that on a lot of young brothers too. Right. You know, Good Kid, Mad City is about that. It's a whole homage to, hey, just the fact that I was born here in Compton, I inherited all of this death and murder, and your cousin killed my cousin, and red and blue, and he just trying to go to his grandma's house, and it's like, where you stay at? Where your grandma stay at? You know, and him pointing, I'm glad he didn't choose to ignore that. He's like, nah, man, this is whack, yo. You know what I mean? This is whack. I like the color red, fam. I like the color blue. It doesn't mean anything to me.
I think, yeah, it blows.
And now I gotta.
Right. And it blows me that we will already be in a destitute situation. But then we'll create environments and cultures to put ourselves in even more destitute situations.
We put ourselves in more of a jail.
Gang culture, like even you're talking Bloods and Crips, same thing. Remember we was watching Pastors at the Party. Do y'all realize this blew me away? It really blew me away when they said there are cats in these gangs, in these neighborhoods, and they can kind of smell the beach in California. And they've never been
because they can't go down that street.
They can't go down the street. Or they've never been outside their neighborhood because they just, you know what I mean? Boom, boom, and they represent that lifestyle so hard.
It's like a jail mentality that they bring to the street and self-impose, because that's the jail shit. As soon as you get in jail, you got to pick a gang or something.
It's the same thing like the New York starting the gangs from block to block. Okay, so if on 156th Street you got the Javelins as an example, then you got the Black Spades on 167. They can't cross the street,
right?
You know what I mean? And that's them. That's not, and the cops already killing them. Cops already selling dope to them. Right. You know, the city is burning buildings around them. The Jewish landlords are burning buildings around them. Asbestos is all in the air. You do that, and the gang culture creates more, you know what I mean, of it, more of a bare crutch on you. You know what I mean?
Raiders, thank you. I'm glad somebody said raid because I'm on a different program, but I pulled up my OBS and saw that Gibson Music, thank you. You rated me with Party of One, and Calix Queen rated me with Party of Five. I appreciate you. For those, I don't know when you rated. I guess you just rated now. So thanks for joining us. We have been talking about... We're talking about some deep shit for real. You know what I'm saying? And what's real dope about this is I don't care how you feel. You might not be in the hip hop scholarship like we are, like especially like this brother, but this affects you. This has affected you. This has affected the entire way you have experienced culture, especially if you're 30 years or younger, 25 years or younger. By the time y'all showed up, this thing was deeply saturated in how we view hip hop and how we view each other as MCs, rappers, and how we should get money and what we are willing to do to our brothers and sisters to get that money has been totally embedded in us that it's more than cool to dish your brother or your sister to go out here and get that money. Yeah. This is a complete offshoot of a drug war that's taking place in other countries on behalf of the American government, and they need a scapegoat and a way to keep trafficking these drugs. And so that turned into the war on drugs, funded by Reagan, started by Reagan, and Dare to Say No to Drugs, all that shit with his wife, just to cover the fact that they are literally the reason why there's a drug war.
I mean, even when you big up Gibson Music, mad knowledge in here. I appreciate that, bro. No doubt, no doubt. Even when you look at the movie Panther, the end of it got the American flag on a boat, and it's basically giving you a description of how when the Panthers ended, the Bloods and Crips started, and so did the United States. You know what I mean? And there are stories where you look up, even in Bastards of the Party, it said where the gangs at first want enough drugs in the hood. Let's get that straight too. Bloods and Crips first started, there weren't no drugs in the street like that.
Right.
It was violence. It was more like, okay, territorial like that or whatever. And the Bastards of the Party later in that documentary, they was like, oh Lord, and then when the drugs and the guns did come.
That's what I'm about to say. There was violence,
moly.
but not like what we talk, not like what was going on now. But why wouldn't drugs do that? Drugs is going to create this big, crazy gulf between the rich and the poor.
Right. It's
going to make people who didn't necessarily have to do a lot instantly rich, so that they don't have the mentality that a true entrepreneur would have, because it's just like looked at him and smiled with 32 gold teeth and said, "What you making in a year, I'm making in a week."
In a week, right? I'm sorry.
I zoned out. I'm gonna say it again. Looked at him and smiled with 32 gold teeth and said, "What you making in a year? I'm making in a week." Elementary at the time, I don't think of getting caught. So that's Wyclef. But Wyclef is talking about street. It's a song called Street Jeopardy. It's a classic, dope ass song. But he was talking about this. He's talking about, hey, why is he said. Right. He said, not me. It could never happen to me. The teacher said, what you rather do? Go to school or get a degree?
Yeah,
that's what he said. Looked at him and smiled. So, but that's real talk. He like, yo, I'm out here handing rocks to people. They are knocking my door now. I got to tell them to go away, and they're making it hot. Meanwhile, the teacher got to come in here and just make $35,000 a year to get shitted on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
you say cops are crooked. What cops make? What did KRS say in Black Cop? You don't even get paid a whole lot. So when you look at it like that, they coming in and they see
they
me.
Want some money too.
I'm on the block making 20 grand a week. He come on the block, bust me, put me pop my head. You think he ain't gonna want some of that? You think and you think they don't, let you and allow you to? Again, the whole thing. If we're looking at what we read today, it looks like everybody up top know who doing it. Mm-hmm. It looked like the whole system is there.
And they choose who they're going to allow to do it and how long they're going to allow them to do it based on how much it benefits them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's just a game. And that's why when you look at this, this is the game. The game is they bring the coat, they put it in the hood. You get it. They know you got it. They know who got it, especially those y'all on top. And then y'all are working out a system again. If like Marlon Brando said it best, we talked about it earlier. Check out Godfather 1. Take the drugs to the niggas in Harlem. My mom told me that a long time ago. She was like, "Yo, she was like, even the Italians knew. We'll do all crime, all forms of organized crime. But even what was the Raekwon joint, he was like, that was the Asian cartel. Like, yo, drugs will destroy your community and destroy your We do everything organized crime except drugs. You know what I mean? It was like, nah.
Thanks for that cheer. Level up.
Yeah, peace and blessings. You know what I mean? What Kobe Hustle say? I'm on the DMV now, but from the West Side Compton, it's a very stressful environment for a child who don't know who to love. Wow.
He my cousin, but he from a different hood. So fuck him. What the fuck? I seen it one too many times. And also very, very nice profile picture.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Is that the Warriors, yo? Yeah, Dope. Dope. I like that. Yeah, and see again, for that brother right there. for Kobe Hustle to say something like that, we see that in movies, but for him to actually say that, I ain't gonna front that touch me. You know what I mean? Kendrick has mentioned that. He mentions that a lot. How his close homies, you know what I mean? A lot of times because they over there, whatever, really gotta rock them colors like that. And it's
bad.
Yeah, it really is.
So this book is about, and it reminds me of your book, because in your book you have to constantly remind people like what your point is. His point is not, hey, everybody, America sold drugs, no doubt. He's talking about, but how did it get down to the rapper though? Why is the rapper being manufactured? Why is there a dumbed down rapper being manufactured? Why are we 3/5 in MC? Which is, man, he could have just named it that. He could have just stopped there.
Well, no, that was enough.
The manufacturing of a dumbed down rapper, very, very good, wise, intelligent. If you ever see this, man, this is a work of art right here. Because of the place that it's coming from.
Well, like the one day
the heart that it's coming from.
I will look to contact him and actually look to have him up here one day, y'all. Once I read this, one day they kind of actually have him up here.
He's actually very accessible.
He is.
I remember Star was dealing with it too. But I think we can reach out to him and get him up here. Because this is dope. Because this is somebody who was in the music industry. It's not like he's just saying that. He's from New York. He's a poor righteous teacher. A 5%er. He's a 5%er. And so he's walked the walk. But he was in the music industry and he's seen firsthand. How this happened.
I read a little later in here, and he gets into that too. Just his dealings in the music industry, the connection, the close relationship, how shiesty they are, and how you just can smell the drugs. You know what I mean? How you can just smell.
But when you even think about Hollywood, because that's the thing, there's there's the music industry and how it crosses over into the Hollywood industry. You know what I mean? So you got hip hop, but then you got Hollywood, and those things are married now, and they're really married now.
Yes.
So that being the case, Hollywood has always been known for drugs. Hell, when you research The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, the lead of The Wizard of Oz is Judy Garland. Judy Garland died at a young age. When I was little, there was this book my parents had called Too Young. Oh man, it was a creepy book to me because it was just about all the people who died before their time when they were in the heat of their whatever. So it had Bob Marley, it had Bruce Lee in it, it had Marilyn Monroe, it had Sam Cooke, it had all these people, and a lot of these people had weird deaths too. But these are people who died at a really young age and kind of crashed and burned at a young age. And in this book is Judy Garland. And Judy Garland got hooked on barbiturates and downers and uppers and stuff because when she was a little girl, she's doing that movie. She's like 14 years old. The producers and stuff, who some people say were touching her and stuff like that, they hooked her on drugs. She literally died. She never got unaddicted to these drugs, and she died depressed and strung out because literally they wouldn't let her eat, but so much they were starving her. All for just so she could be in this movie. She was really being whored out to be in this movie. And it's just funny how the industry is. Hollywood, they just took that same machine and applied it to music.
And then, and it's like I said, when you look up and, you watch some of the movies, especially in the 80s, and you see that, we're not blind to this either. And again, these cultures, hip hop and criminology, street crime they're not far, you know what I mean, from each other for real. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you see that hip hop was making an attempt to make a difference as a music in the 80s, y'all got to realize something. In the 80s, hip hop had more control over how it was going to look, how it was going to present itself. That's why it had DJs and dancers, and that's why it had the gold, and we 5%ers coming to your studio
and protesting the awards, and hip hop was
they were like, well, okay, this is what hip hop is. This is the new thing. And see, you got politicians' sons. Zephyr is a famous graph writer.
That's right.
He lived in Manhattan. He was the next door neighbor to the mayor of New York.
Okay, he's like lived high on the hall, but he down here with us.
He down there with us,
right? Writing graffiti on the wall,
right? And so when you,
but what ain't there? That's one of them. Was it Breaking 2 or one of them movies? The one movie about them trying to raise funds.
Right.
The movie about them trying to raise funds to open up the rec center or to keep it open or whatever. Breaking 2. That's what's going on in that. The young rich white girl, she started hanging with the black kids and the Puerto Ricans and shit in the hood.
And Pop stroked the check at the end.
And Pop stroked the check, right?
It was like, oh, all right, my fault, y'all really about it. And my daughter's not gonna not fuck with y'all.
So I might as well just give her.
And I got around. Y'all ain't the worst motherfuckers in the world.
But that's a metaphor. If I can't beat them, join them. That's what happened with hip hop. MTV didn't want us, y'all. We remember when they want no black people on MTV, but it was called music television, and they were starting to look racist because it's like, wow, all the music made by black people, or we at least making half of it. Ain't no black people on music television, so they stopped. Instead of denying us, it's like, well, let's put a hand in it, and now we can control it.
Right.
Now we can control the direction of it.
Right. Because if they start their own thing,
right.
See, that's what
they might exclude us,
and they will run the table.
But that's what I'm talking about. Right, that's just the same thing with the oil and all that stuff in the rest of the world.
If they start their own thing, that's no Michael Jackson and that's no Prince.
That's right.
And so they're like, well, ho, that's too much money. Ho, that's too much money, and we got good. Well, we feel like we got good control over them. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you look at it like that or whatever, it's
deep.
Oh yeah,
it's gangster, y'all. The music industry,
it's happy
till Michael Jackson came. That's right. And then they had to, and that's a perfect example. Even Maddie, I know you remember. You know what I'm saying? I know you remember. What's up, y'all?
Peace, fam. Peace, y'all.
It's the perfect example because you're talking about the MTV example is the perfect example. Because you're talking about a situation like that where, really Prince. You know, I'm sorry, y'all. For those that aren't in the know, Prince died because of the music industry wanting to control his masters. He didn't die of no health or nothing like that. Prince was murdered.
People like things. Sam Cooke's death. He was in the elevator.
His death.
Bill Cosby's son's first death.
Yes.
Stuff like that. You just be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's pops. You know, gambling issue. Who did he had a gambling issue with? Pops gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it'd be the mysterious deaths of healthy people. You know what I mean?
And yeah, the crazy weird deaths. So it's not a game. Y'all let's never forget. Let me see. Hold on. That's why you're on TV. Rats was a Saturday show only at first. Hell yeah, they were scared about the hip hop. They weren't really. He said, "Let alone."
Right, but that's true.
Quincy, Stevie, list goes on. They couldn't have let that go by the wayside. That's right. They started realizing, okay, our racism is starting to shoot us in the money foot, and it's dumb. For one, we love the music. It's not like it just let's exclude money. I'm here. I'm a big fat racist, but then on comes Chubby Checker or whoever, and I'm like, whoa, that shit is swinging. And let me get my hands in it and make some money from it.
And my kids
love it.
This shit,
and they're starting to hate me because I don't love it.
What did I say? That Black Panther documentary. The cop. I'm gonna tell y'all something about Black Panther documentary. Really, PBS did one, and the white cop was like, "Yo, when the Black Panther was defending their hood, that made sense to us as black cops." They was like, "Yo, we were
cops.
Told."
Or black cops. It's white cops. You said
it was
black
a white
cops.
cop. No, it was white cops.
But you just said it's black cops.
I'm sorry. It was an old white cop. Old white cop from back in the day. Basically, one of the white cops that was always in the face of Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in them, right? In the interview. He was like, look, when the Black Panther Party first started, we understood what we was doing to them. So them defending their hood made sense to us. Though we were told to still mess with them for doing it. He was like, but when my daughter came home and said, fuck pigs, they was like, okay, we got to
do something with these
We got an issue. Yeah. Jane Fonda, Marlon Brando supporting the Black Panther Party. Oh, okay. We got an issue. Right. We have a certain issue. Hip hop is cool to white kids start getting involved. And then the Jews' sons are the ones running independent labels that are pushing hip hop in the 80s. The Jews is cutting checks to their sons. Sons want to start little record labels. They don't care about the music at all. Boom, boom, boom. They sons like it okay. But the sons see this shit about to make this motherfucking cake. So they jump in full-fledged. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, the drug game is starting to bubble a little bit. Rick Ross getting it going. That crack, I guess that they say Rick Ross is responsible for, whatever, the actual Rick Ross. The crack is now making that cocaine more. I can put it in a bag. I can take that thing up.
Well, you know, they developed it in UCLA. UCLA is responsible for the development of crack, the college in California. Okay,
you know what I mean? And so, thank you. You know what I mean? And so, by them doing that, they made it more so it could really go in the hood. Because I remember watching a documentary, America Undercover. You know what I mean? Back in the day, HBO, they did an interview. I'll never forget it. When drugs were first being sold, the United States, the cops, the police department, they didn't know what to do. There were no laws against it in any way because most of the people that were doing it were their peers. So they didn't have nothing for petty small people. So when the mafia first started coming out, say the 80s, the Italians in the hood, I mean, literally in California, they would have ounces of cocaine in their hand. They showed it in America, this document. They were like, yo, I got this coke, I got this ounce of coke, I got this ounce of coke. They were selling it like cats would sell weed now, or cats would sell crack now. Because
It just
So they didn't
wasn't-
know. I mean, it was like I said, it was in Coca-Cola. You
Boom.
know, they didn't know.
So, right. So now when we get our hands on it, that's when Wise Intelligent was explaining earlier in the book read how mandatory the three
Now the
strikes
laws-
crime. Now everything
Now the laws are harsh.
they're harsh for us. You know
Right,
what I mean? It's
right.
like, you know what I mean? That's how, you know what I mean? That system always kind of worked that thing out or whatever. So now again, you got this. And there's also one thing I like to mention is how that whole system of where you're better than me, the drug game brought that to the hood.
What do you mean?
Well, you got drug dealers in the hood.
Well, who's better than who?
The drug dealers are better than everybody in the hood.
Oh, I see what
classism
you're
starts
saying.
taking place more even now in the hood.
But that's
than
what I was
even
saying a
out
minute
there.
ago about
You know
how
what I mean?
quickly you just take this person who is not necessarily a rock hard entrepreneur for real. It's just that because this ain't like, okay, now I got to go get an accountant and get my books balanced. It's street entrepreneurialism. It's instant.
Right.
So now, but you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So now here's another added Willie Lynch layer of I'm better than you. But again, looked at him and smiled with 32 gold teeth. He's not just saying, he's not in that lyric. He's not just saying, okay, I made a lot of money compared to you. It's a diss. It's like, why would I want to sit in school with your dumb ass? But how many times have you seen a movie about selling drugs or being a gangster or whatever, and the gangster will say, or the drug dealer will say, I think 9 to 5s are for suckers. I think working all your life for somebody who don't love you and care about you is for suckers. And I can get with that to an extent. But then, but you're not a sucker for going and cracking out this whole neighborhood right here.
Right.
And where the white man about to benefit and lock your ass up, and you're not even gonna live to be that old to even spend your money, because none of this never turns into a legacy, fam. Because unlike the Italians, who a lot of them don't live to see their money neither. Really, when it comes to if according to the movies anyway, everybody end up getting capped and killed, no matter what it is. But you know they're not gonna let us live, so I can pass the money down to Akira Zachariah.
I mean, no,
that I make from drugs. Come on.
And see, that's why you said it's that's like a never ending. It's a hamster wheel. You know what I mean? And I feel for drug dealers. You know, my brothers and sisters who are, you know what I mean, who are partaking in it, because again, it's a cycle. It's a cycle that ends crazy almost every time. There's no retirement. There's no, you know what I mean? There's nothing in it. You get that glory, even for like in the hood when the cats would drug deal. It's like their glory was the weekend at the club.
Well, it is now because what is it leading up to? Like it's just like it's leading up to just having a material of flossy. Let's pop bottles. I want to be able to.
Yeah, when I went to Freaknik in '95, I cannot imagine how much street drug money was paying them hotels that weekend was. I saw pimps. I saw women being pimped. I saw drug. You know, it was just like wow. And you can look at cats, and you know, for those of us that understand or know what a motherfucker selling dope look like when they out in public chilling. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck about you. They got to die because of that mentality they came from. They've been sitting all year or whatever on that block or whatever doing that to people because it I mean, it changes. You know, it changes you.
For my gamers, I know most of y'all have played GTA. Y'all played, y'all probably, if you old enough, you played GTA, Vice City. You know what I'm saying? You play Vice City, and of course, most of y'all have played San Andreas. What happens? Carl, the main character, when the movie first starts, when the movie might as well be a movie. When the game first starts, you getting out of jail. You was in Grove Street gang, Grove Street where they wear green. You know what I'm saying? Your enemies is the ballers. When you get out of jail, Grove Street has dissipated, and now you're trying to help reestablish the gang. To reestablish the gang, the first thing you do, almost the first mission you go on, with the nigga that's played by with Ryder, who's played by MC8. You know what I'm saying? He's a terrible person, and he treats you like shit. There's always a character like that every GTA. You know what I mean? Your homie is this terrible dude. So he's like, hey man, done, right? So you go down there, and your first mission is to beat up drug dealers. The people in Grove Street are starting to be on crack. You go in the crack den. He was like, oh, he's trying to get the game back together, and some of them are strung out.
Right.
So you go down there with the bat and start beating the drug dealer's ass. But then as the game goes on, you have to do all this gang war, like to make it through the gang. Like you have to kill all of these people just because they're wearing purple. Like, so literally in the game, when you ride through the game, it's training you. Here you are, a little child might be playing this, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and it's training you when you see a dude in purple, that's a baller. Let me kill him. But you just finished getting the crack off your street to reestablish your gang. So it's just a really interesting dynamic with the way, and in that game, who was in it? All kind of rappers doing voices, all kind of rappers on the radio stations and everything like that. So we feed this machine big time.
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue with this, you know, that he's talking about, that I'm talking about, is when you got a scholar like me going and trying to teach kids about hip hop culture, or anyone. outside of hip hop culture. Shout out to Martha Diaz. She discussed, as she's a big time hip hop educator, intellectual, having to go into conferences and sun people who don't necessarily know the history of hip hop because they're basing it on criminology. Some people don't even describe hip hop rap music as nothing but that.
Because that's, they
and
really,
that's, for the most part, you know what I'm saying, what it is being described as or whatever. So that's really the hiccup. We're trying to explain hip hop culture, trying to teach it to the babies in the hood, whose hood is towed up by drugs, who the celebrity is still the drug dealer.
right.
You know what I mean? Some children, and I'm come from them streets. So some of these children I can look at and I know they in houses where coke is being cooked.
Right.
It is being bagged. It is, and they kind of got an idea, and because they just look at the rap video, they can look in the kitchen and understand it completely.
And it's like, oh, okay, pops, music, boom.
Okay.
Right.
And all the music that everybody
pops and moms.
play,
Let me not leave moms out. Yeah.
Pops, moms, and all the music they play and all the environment. And I've been there young at the beginning of this. And I like to talk about that because it was real, y'all. Like when it first started, it broke a lot of our hearts because the hood was just safe last month.
Right.
I mean, I could go to the Candy Lady with no issue from my dude I grew up with. Now, dude I grew up with, because I'm not in what he's doing or whatever. I'm whatever.
Yeah.
He now has an issue with me. I mean, we used to play rec ball together.
Right.
I mean, we kind of was in 8th grade together, and now boom, boom, boom. I'm cool. And see, I'm gonna tell y'all something that kept me relevant and kept me safe was hip hop.
Right.
Me being a dancer,
too.
me starting to rap. That's another department in the hood that you can be be around these dope dudes and not feel like a threat. Not feel like you trying to take their money.
Because you the hip hop, you the dude, you the DJ, you the dancer, you the MC.
I'm the one
hip hop didn't save me from because of course being a female and then this not being the roughest of areas that we live in.
Right.
It wasn't really that harsh for me. But still, just we always talk about this. Black people are swag, especially in the 80s and 90s. Having swag, it was important. I mean, we didn't call it swag, but you had to have style. You know what I'm saying? You can't be corny. Now, I never was corny. I'm not a corny chick. You know what I mean? But I always was a nerd, and I always was artsy and uniquely me.
Right.
Hip hop made me feel. Hip hop gave me my place too, like in the hood. One of the reasons why I never felt uncomfortable, because again, I went to art school. Then I went to art school in Baltimore. So even though my school was nestled in a so-called nice part of the city, I went to one of the dopest art schools in the country at that time. It was like number 2 in the country, but it was nestled right there in Baltimore, Lexington Market. You go up the hill, there was my school. So to the left of me is North Avenue. To the right is Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm talking about some hood ass environment. You know what I mean? And I had never seen nothing like that. But did I feel weird being there? Nope. I'm a whole MC. I've been rhyming for about so many years by that time, and I never felt uncomfortable. And I ain't gonna front listening to all that music all that time. It kind of made me feel like I had been there. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't feel uncomfortable in the hood. You know what I mean?
So let me look at 2 James.
So let's look at some of these comments.
Floyd Vader says that Norfolk was especially crazy in my time because wasn't no colors. Okay. They look just like the
hustlers, killers, just like the homies. And then he
right too.
And really in our area, when you compare, because of course there's gangs out here, but when you compare our area to most areas in the country, we late. We don't really have a lot of that anyway.
We was late.
Where our neighborhoods are set up, for one, it's just not. It's spatial. So there's not to me, anytime you have any place where there's a lot of crowds and stuff like that, if you start packing people in China, you start packing people on top of each other, you're gonna have a triad, right? Because it starts getting destitute at that time, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Right. Them elements will help them understand the real from the fake. You know what I'm saying? The hip hop culture is more for their children than ours. We have to show our kids what hip hop is and isn't. Show them all elements, and that includes the not just the rapping, but this stuff right here, stuff, the legacy of it. You know what I mean?
And so
I want to comment too on DJ Cruz, just say peace to you. I don't know if y'all still there, but DJ Cruz, and I think this is a couple like us. So up here is Wifey, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to assume that, but I'm pretty sure this is Wifey, Stay Cruising, and DJ Cruz. So again, good to have y'all. Y'all been tuning in lately. You know what I mean?
Peace,
so
peace.
We already went up there. I read an article, Kobe Hustle. I read an article that was from the 90s. Where a top record executive said he wanted to push gangster rap because it promoted violence and filled up the jails, in which he was personally invested in private jails. We actually did a whole live about that. It's time to do that again.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years now. Time flying.
Yeah.
It's called the letter, the secret letter The Secret Letter That Destroyed Hip Hop or something like that is what it's
And-
called. And we read it and we really went into that. And,
Right, and
I'm almost sure that that's true.
Yeah,
That's a real, I think that's a real letter.
There's a meeting about that in that letter that was discussed. That person who was in the interview was probably one of the people at that meeting who was like, yeah, I'm down. You know what I mean? Sign me up.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
according to him in the story, he wasn't down.
When I'm talking about the person that he had, he said that he said that whoever the interview that he was in said
he
that
read an article.
And the person said that because it helped promote violence. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Well, he just saying he read an article where it was a 90s record exec, record exec said he wanted to push gangster rap. But we're saying that there was a whole meeting before this top record exec that said that there's a meeting, there's a letter about this meeting.
And I'm saying that dude that's in this interview is probably one of the people at that meeting that's like, I'll do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll do it.
He probably, oh yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Oh, so that's always nice to see. You know what I'm saying? That's always nice to see.
Y'all see how we do.
Yeah, we do everything together. You know what I'm saying? I got to twist my hair, but it's neither here nor there. So y'all, we about to round it up. Look, it's been fun to have y'all. I'm addicted to DJing. If I have any spare time tonight, I might pop up on some pop-up stuff. But now we're starting to have a schedule. So tomorrow is Tuesday, right?
Yes.
So DJ Bowtie, he's not in the chat, but so for those who know the Solar Flare Network, DJ Bowtie will be live. So
he'll be live. He's my man at work right now.
Okay, he'll be live at 3. Yeah, it's the same meeting. Yep. So he thanks for having y'all. Hey, thanks for being here, man. You know what I mean? We you heard about that letter. That was we got to revisit that because that's because then after we read it, what we did was we pulled up the different we talked about, then we did another live about, which is it's one of my favorite lives, the hip hop movie Deception. And we talked about how movies were used to perpetuate the same thing, how they started using film to immediately and quickly turn rap to gangster rap. And they use movies to do it in a really, really quick and easy way. Most of us had never seen no gang banging or nothing up here. Where we're from, we hadn't even seen none of that. So it exposed us to all of that. And by using Ice Cube and by putting rappers in movies where they have to play these criminals like Tupac and different people like that, it's a movie, but it's hard for you to separate that person from the role.
From the rap. And then see, that's what we're talking about. So the drug dealing comes in with that letter. We now see what Wise Intelligent is talking about. All this is going on at the same time. And now Ice Cube is put in Boys in the Hood. And now it's a hip hop movie.
Right.
With no hip hop in it at all.
Movie.
There's no rapping, no DJing, no b-boy.
It ain't like Juice. Writing. Juice is a hip hop movie about a DJ event.
DJing and you got some graffiti, you got plenty of graffiti.
Yeah, Queen Latifah and Special Ed and everybody in that joint.
Everybody in that joint.
Right.
Boys in the Hood, How to Be a Menace, MC8 is in that. Oh, it's a hip hop movie. So you be like, hold on now. You know what I'm saying? So when Malcolm X is arguably, more of a hip hop cultural type thing, because that's kind of what a mentality a lot of us start or whatever. So that's what we're dealing with, the dynamic of the drug game, the criminology, the and how Wise Intelligent was talking about how the media machine took that and ran. And unfortunately, a lot of us are signing up to help them be able to perpetuate it, because they can't do. One thing I did learn through our history as we get ready to wrap this up is anything that happened to us, y'all, in history that seemed foul, we helped it to happen.
That's right.
And I just want y'all to be spiritual. Even when they came in, and again, like Mama said earlier, everybody Nubian over here in America was not brought over on slave ships.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But we probably were not getting along that well in Africa. Let's say if a European country, a group of people can come and do that to us, you best believe that we helped them out. In the Roots, it shows scenes where the brothers was wrapping up the brothers. There were 3 main Nubian black people that the Europeans went to do the slave trade.
Yeah, you can.
I'm gonna do a whole live on that just so y'all can build on the science behind that, because there is no leaving us out of the equation of our own destruction.
But see, that's the yin and the yang. When you look at the yin yang, inside that white squeeze is that little black dot, and inside that black squeeze is that little white dot. And there's always the seed of the opposite in the other. So and one is always changing over, Django.
Right.
That's
yes.
a fact. So that's right. All right. So listen. For one, there's some really talented people in this chat.
Yes.
Ibis Matic can rhyme. The Cruising family are DJs, y'all. You know what I mean?
Hip hop.
We got hip hop. This brother right here is one of the rhymingest motherfuckers that literally has legs and hands and stuff. He's so I can imagine that's the reason why Rakim and Dr. Dre, Allah, weren't down with being violent and vulgar the way Dr. Dre was asking of him. Yeah, that's right. Now we missed out on the unification of two legends. That's right. Because somebody, yeah, that is interesting. You know what I mean? It's a good point too.
And then Dre ain't like that at all. See, that's the thing. Dre is an R&B before you turn off the lights with Michelle A. glitter wearing outfit, right. Dude. Dre is a used musician. To whoop her ass. And see, look how that Criminology does that. Dre is one of our greatest musicians and producers of all time. But he in there in early NVA shit in the studio.
Right, with a gun, not even really doing and what.
Eazy-E was the only one out of them. Maybe Ren a little bit was the only one out of them doing that street shit. The rest of them, Dre is a producer. Dre is a musician, y'all. Right. I mean, and a great one.
Right.
But he is known all of a sudden now. He's Death Row. He's this. You know what I mean? He's that or whatever. And even when you watch the movie, they left out a lot of stuff too.
But that remind me of Wu and them when you watch their show. You know, RZA again, he's a weirdo and a musician and shit. Yo. You know what I'm saying? But he in the street, so he do got to deal with somebody. He was hustling a little bud though. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you let him tell it, if you listen to some of his music, again, they Wu Gambinos. You know what I mean? But he's down there at the precinct singing his head like a fucking bird and and it's like RZA, you a whole I'm from art school. I be seeing these dudes. I'm like, dude, music. You would think hip hop actually can kill people the way you would think that lyrics are guns the way that niggas carry it with their rhymes or whatever. In my mind, I'm like, yo, you a whole I'm an artist. Like I'm in here like writing a rhyme and this is art. Like y'all are art gangsters. Like I'm gonna rap and talk like how I'm gonna do this thing or whatever. And it just always blew me because I'm like, dude, you had to go to the studio, you had to say your verse again, and you're a musician, you're doing musical shit. Like, and it's
always blown me away. Our peers that we know. They know we know.
Right.
You don't sell dope.
You don't sell dope.
You know we know you ain't from New York, bro.
Right.
You know
or we would die. You would die if somebody actually pinned a murder on you or somebody hung you up in a situation where you had to shoot somebody or whatever. Because like, nigga, you messing up my record deal.
Right.
But you gonna rap about it and these kids who do not know that you're not that dude.
Right. And then you got you got some of these artists who are bullied. Kanye would get a testimony. Remember, he was in there with Beans and them like, yo, these
he was like, Beans is thorough,
yo. These
and Beans like, yo,
really,
Beans will punch you in your face.
And they really in the studio with it, yo.
Right.
These cats can really rap. This is who Jay-Z signed. You know what I mean? And so you know,
because some people are, they really that. They really is some street hood dudes who walk that life and they just happen to have bars, yo.
Ice-T said it best. I think it was Ice-T in a documentary. He said, you'll know the difference in between someone who really did it and someone who didn't do it in music. He said, this is how he finds out. There's a group, okay, you got Ghostface. Let's use him as an example. Who sings a song about having to sleep with his cousins and peeing in the bed. That was obviously real. That touches him.
That was real.
So he's not telling y'all no story to make y'all feel sorry for him. Ghostface and his family was poor in a destitute situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you know it's real when you hear it.
And you know it's real.
Yeah.
So when you hear drug dealers, cats, Ice-T was saying cats, when cats talk about the real part, my mama, y'all, was on crack. Our house had
See, give me that. Give me that. That's what hip hop is for.
And I had to get that rock to do it. Right. I ain't gonna front. I blew up off whatever. But then if you get the cats and all they talk about is the party, the club, the car.
Well, if they're glorifying if they're glorifying it, they're probably not doing it, or they're not doing it to the extent that they're saying it. Because the people who really go through it know it's not glorious. It kind of reminds me of war. Real people who've been through war, they quiet. They're not sitting around like, because I shot the gooks and the chick. They don't feel like that. They don't want to talk about that shit.
I said it once and I said it again. Rakim, Eric B and Rakim, they were a stick-up crew. Okay. Eric B is like one of the first Suge Knights in the industry, for those of y'all that don't know. Okay. Rakim, I used to be a stick-up kid and I think of all the devious things I did. Listen, the original 50 Cent, not the rapper. We've talked about two rappers now who taking names from a Rick Ross.
We need to do a lot about that.
And the original 50 Cent. The original 50 Cent is on Paid in Full album cover. On the back part's a little square picture with Rakim and his crew, and 50 Cent is one of the dudes. 50 Cent about this tall. 50 Cent could probably the real 50 Cent about to stand right here, this tall.
I'm gonna pull it up.
They said that 50 Cent was like Rakim and them was going on. They about to open up a show. 50 Cent behind the bushes, yo. And Rakim and them had to be like, yo, 50, yo, that's my dude. 50 was like, yo, that nigga got to get it. So there was always somebody in the crew, no matter what. And Rakim and them used to stick up with dude. But now Rakim and them got a record deal.
They can't be doing.
They ain't trying to do that no more. But 50's still in the crew. 50's still in the crew. And 50 gonna go on tour. 50 gonna do all that with them. You know what I mean? And so,
okay, there it is. Hold on,
that's 50 right there.
Hold on, they can't see it yet.
I'll show the original 50 Cent.
right, give me a second. Oh, that's that little dude right there.
Yeah, in the red.
Wow, man.
That's the original 50 Cent, if I'm not mistaken. I remember Sauce Flip show with that. Yeah, that's him.
All right, let me blow it up.
Yeah.
So this dude right here with the red on.
That's the original 50 Cent.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
They said they had to stop him constantly.
50 Cent had a Napoleon complex. Little dude carried 2 guns. Everybody, when he walked up, he was like Omar, y'all. They say he was like Omar on the wire.
Like, Omar coming.
50 Cent, come up, niggas like, yo, come on, 50. He was
D-boy.
He was that nigga. So arguably, all this shit probably got robbed.
Look, everybody got chains on, don't they? He like, look, I'm gonna make sure y'all look fly in the pit.
Strapped to the J. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, when you look at that dynamic, they're like Busta Rhymes often said in the crew, I can't remember the one song he said, I got my man, and I can't remember what he said in the song, but he was like, yo, I got my boy, he not playing with y'all or whatever. There's always somebody in the crew. I had you have to have goons. I did hip hop. I needed goons. I go in the club sometimes. Let's say we b-boys. We go in there. We start rocking. Okay, we can probably walk out with any chick in the club after we b-boy. But who in the club jocking us like this? The drug dealer's girl. She's sitting there right in the front of the chain. And so we know that. So we like, yeah, sis. Boom, boom, boom.
Hey, for real, that's real talk. What you said too, Ebens Matt. Oh, and sis, I heard what you said, and just whisper me. I would totally love to be on your show, man. I love stuff like that. All right, just hit me up. Give me a whisper. Stay cruising. So he said, in my day, it was 40s and blunts. Would have never drank or smoked if it wasn't for Grand Poobah and St. Ives hip hop commercials. Went to the corner store. Yeah. You know what I'm looking.
You're right. I know. I started smoking late too. Keeping it 100.
Yeah,
and I ain't gonna.
Hip hop definitely influenced me. I said I won't never smoke.
Now I grew up. My older siblings, they were smoking the whole time. They
and that won't hip hop, right?
Early 80s. That's just they had the whole psychedelic. Back in the day, cousins had my sisters and them had all this stuff up or whatever. But I didn't start till late because my mom was a nurse and I ain't had. But anyway, it was definitely. I felt like now. Okay, well look, like everybody doing now. The chicks I want to get with.
Right.
Roll up, baby.
Roll up. Right.
You know what I mean? So you're like, okay. You know what I mean?
Drinking too. Drinking became a part of like how we so I mean, but look at that. Look at hip hop culture. The Hennessy. You know what I mean?
Right.
The whatever, the Ciroc, the blunts, we are the poster children for anything that capitalists want to sell, anything that they want to push. We got our chips and we got our whatever. And a lot of times this shit don't be healthy.
Like people think like you'll see Puff Daddy made a Ciroc. Nah, y'all.
No, that's not Ciroc. Ciroc didn't make Ciroc.
He didn't make that.
Yeah.
Ciroc.
They
put his face on it so you would buy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They paid him to do it. They had to pay for his likeness and all that whole music, that whole business stuff.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the Polo, Nautica, all of that. They did not want us in none. They did not want us in Polo, y'all. They didn't want us in Nautica. And then they started realizing, wait a minute. Black people are the biggest consumers in the world. Why don't I want them to wear my joint? Let me make a lesser kind of version of my brand so that I can still sell it. That's companies doing that. Again, Hitler, World War II. America, like, oh my God. We want to keep selling our soda over there.
Well, make Fanta.
Let's make Fanta.
So
we can keep selling soda. We don't care if y'all are Nazis.
And what y'all don't realize is the Germans and the Americans were kind of
they had holding hands. So it's like I want to keep holding hands, but now my partner looks dirty, but I want to keep making money. So that's what happened with this drug thing. That's exactly what happened. So that I can divert your attention to who the real drug dealer is. Let me just pick good old Negro man and let him do a little song and dance for me, and everybody will believe it's him because he's saying it's him.
And what did Kobe Hustle say there? Wayne made it seem okay to pop pills and to be a fiend. I'm a pill popping animal. You must not have heard Night of the Living Bass ass. Wow.
Come on, but I mean, all of that is new. That new. I remember when I started meeting some of the younger people. Y'all, we MCs. You know what I'm saying? We've been rapping. I've been rhyming for
Ricky D. Rap.
Ricky D. Rap. I've been rapping for 27 years. Fast. You've been rapping about that long, right?
20. I got you about what, a year?
Yeah. So we done paid dues.
Yeah.
And we remember it all. You know what I'm saying? And that being the case, they rebranded. They'll wait about 7 years or so, and then they'll rebrand everything. It used to be that only white people pop pills and stuff like that. I remember when I went to art school. Again, I went to art school in Baltimore, but the college I went to is predominantly white. Most art schools usually are predominantly white, and that was no exception. So I'm around all these. All of us are artists, so people smoking weed and stuff, but they doing hella drugs. They smoking blunts with mushroom dust and all that. But that's where I first encountered people who take Ritalin and like code what's the one they used to love? Anyway, it just be drugs you take for pain. You know what I mean? Or drugs you take to calm your nerves or whatever like that. And they would go to the hospital and get them, you know what I mean? And sell them. And that was my first time being, I mean, they were like, yo, you want to take this Ritalin? I'm like, no, I don't want to take no damn Ritalin. You know what I mean? Like, that was my first time meeting. So I associated that with Europeans. And so when I started meeting younger Black people doing that, I was like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But so they'll just wait till we forget. You know, they're like, oh, Black comedians are saying that only white people are sociopaths that kill a bunch of people.
Right.
Let's wait a little bit. Malvo and Muhammad, these people. You know what I mean?
And they will,
let's
even the state. And then they're gonna stay. We're gonna stick on them forever. Meanwhile, you know, the schools are getting shot up or whatever.
The bitch thing. You never will call a Black woman a bitch. Remember, all the comedians used to get up there and say, you don't call no Black woman no bitch. And we'd be like, huh, that's right. We would clap. And so it's just like, let's wait a little bit, let everybody forget. And then we're going to start encouraging you to call her bitches and stuff in the song. We're going to make that shit so fly. And then so when Lil Kim came, I couldn't help but like it, man. Like I tried my best. Oh my God, I tried not to like it. But when I heard that beat, it's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm rich. I'm gonna stay that bitch. I was like, oh, this shit is who you loving, who you wanna be. I was like, man, y'all making me drop my guard, man. I can't front. We make it look so fly, man.
Yeah, like I said, you kind of can't help it. Like I said, you know what I mean. So what even Maddie say? I was deep into Boston grab culture. I said I wouldn't do drugs in any form because cats was doing mushrooms and acid, but hip hop made my interest peak for weed. I can definitely.
That's real. See, we having that real talk because a lot of people we love hip hop, so a lot of people don't like to blame hip hop. But I mean, hip hop did introduce us to a lot of stuff that we would not be thinking about otherwise, man. And I mean, I'm not gonna say it's just hip hop; it's America, you know. But that was the graffiti word in my city for all them weird drugs. Let me see what it is. The graffiti word.
He said because cats, you know, just doing mushrooms.
Okay, but yeah, yo, I mean, see Twilight 22. Play at your own risk.
Yeah, I was catching the same, sir. Same here, sir.
Yeah,
same here, sir. Yeah, you see, you like me. My mom and them. See, I was pop locking back then, right? Messing with Soul Train, right? Messing with the Electric Boogaloos. So you know, when I go to my sister in them house spend the night, they be smoking that weed, and they be like, "Jason, do the robot." You know
right.
You gotta do all that with that weed smoke going right down the liquor and the beer. And see, my sisters and my brother was a DJ. And my sisters, they would throw selling parties almost like every other Friday. So I would spend the night with my sisters. They were way older than me. Spend the night with them on the weekend, no curfew, and my brother DJing and all that in prime. But see, once again, y'all, this is pre-crack. The worst thing that was going on in the house that night was weed. Might have been a little coke getting sniffed, but my sisters and them kept that from me or whatever. And that was the worst of it. And it wasn't until
and they didn't let us see none of that.
You know, it wasn't until then, you know, and my sisters and them probably partied a little harder, but around me, it won't like that. Even the drug dealer sometimes maybe would come out. My sister would be like, yo, you know what I mean? But then he didn't have to know that either. You know, back in the day, if the drug dealer or the weed dude was coming up and he saw me run to the door, he gonna put the weed in his pocket. That's how I was back in the day.
But see, I'm about to say it was another code.
Boom, 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 boom.
Keeping things away from children was something that we all universally understood.
My sister told me Flip the weed man, but Flip come to the door.
He still.
Oh, what up, little man? And Flip gonna give me $5.
Oh.
And we go to the ice cream truck, young blood, you good? But Flip done put that weed in his pocket back in the day. Now, Cassius, here, young man, get this to your mama.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, God damn.
Where your mama at, little nigga?
And so that paradigm started all the way from what Wise is saying. Right. You know what I mean? That's why I like building with people about hip hop, about the 80s a lot, because it was a totally different world. Again,
this I'm so glad women
disrespecting themselves and disrespect each other, and I'm a good bitch. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Interracial dating was there, but was crazy as a motherfucker. And there's no disrespect. It's all good.
It was crazy because culture, we were all more cultural. I talked a lot about interracial dating when I did the doll test. I did the doll test live, and I was talking about that and why people, you know, interracially date. And I think I brought that up because I was saying that those of us who question interracial dating, I think for younger people, they look at it like, why? Who are you to question who I love? Mm-hmm. And then for those of us who are older, especially those of us with knowledge of self, we get that there's this thing in the back of your mind telling you that if you're Black, you're not good enough, and that we know that some people, as a result of feeling that pressure to be more white all of their lives, when they get a chance to get away from that hood, especially if the hood didn't treat them right, they're going to go and get that white woman. And sometimes we're questioning it because we know that everybody don't marry for love. It's dumb to say that everybody don't marry for love. You know, people marry for all kind of other reasons.
Right.
And some of those reasons is that white supremacy down inside of you telling you that you're ugly and black. And so now that you're affluent, you need to go ahead and get that white woman on your arm. And so we know that there's no coincidence in that. I'm sorry. So it doesn't mean that everybody who gets married to a white man or a black woman or whatever, or another race, but we're particularly talking about white and black. Because it's not as big of a deal if you marry like an Asian chick or something like that.
We've had a discussion about,
you know what I mean?
Asians don't get asked that question or whatever. But again, just saying back to the 80s and the paradigm, especially in Virginia. We also talk about Virginia environment.
Right, yeah.
Totally different than New York or California.
Blacks and whites did not hang. We were not mixed together. When we grew up, we were separate.
And so hip hop was black. In my young experience, it was a black experience. It was completely black. Whites didn't get down with it like until the Beastie Boys came out. MTV started accepting it a little bit. But whites were making great music in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So MTV, I was an MTV baby. So
we still like their music.
Their music was dope.
Yeah.
But everybody in the 80s and House was coming out, Go-Go was coming out. These 80s is a big music creation decade. A lot of genres came in the 80s. You know what I mean? Hip hop, Go-Go, House, these things and all and transition and all is coming in. I mean, think about it. Just really think about it, yo. Even when I did this research on the radio show that we're gonna have in the future, right? We were talking about how the discotheque didn't come into play. Check this out. Discotheques didn't come around to like 68, 69. So clubs, the club environment, the single, the get drugs and all that, get off. That shit didn't start happening.
That blew up because of.
That's why the disco era is the way it is, y'all. Because that was like the beginning of people being in the club all night, fucking Larry Levon on the turntables, and it's just the whole world or whatever.
And then when we talk about war too, you coming from these times like the 60s, that's all staunch and everybody got to dress neat and nice, and you going off the war and you better not disrespect your family and your mama and all of that. So everybody's tired of that.
Show.
And you white and you do love that black girl. You black and you do love that white man, but you can't say it and you're tired of it.
Why? Because you watching Leave It to Beaver.
Right.
And Leave It to Beaver's all white.
You tired of it. So here come the 70s. It's like, look, I'm about to take my dick.
But what I like about the 80s is 80s did quiet as kept. We're talking about the interracial thing, but the 80s brought it in.
The 80s is the beginning of it.
The Jeffersons coming in, having that black and white couple, and it kind of and all that kind of different strokes. Mm-hmm. White people are raising black children. You're right. You know what I mean? So you start kind of the 80s. People are kind of start. You're right. They're starting to kind of be like, you know what? Black people ain't. And then another thing though is TV. TV started showing when they stopped showing Leave It to Beaver only and stuff like that, and start showing more realistic television. And that's what's happening today for sure. That's the reason why all the racism is really starting to lift now, because now you can't say that you can't name an intelligent black person, or you can't name a black person that's talented, or a black person that studies history, or a black person that's an engineer. You can just Google. I mean, there's just anybody. Name an example. You can name any race of person that can fit any category. Back in the day, if you told me that black people ain't shit and we never did nothing, if the books in the library didn't say nothing different, blacks ain't shit and didn't do nothing.
Blacks ain't shit and didn't do nothing. So technology and stuff. But now this is a broader conversation.
Right.
Let me plug some things while I have you guys. I was born in the 80s. I mean, I almost was, since I was born in 79. I was right there. I just made it.
I'm 73.
But this man is from 73. I always be like, he's vintage.
I love
time travel from the 70s to hit us with the vintage.
DJ Cruz got rap snacks. Did y'all know that? I read the back of this thing, and why is
rap snacks? Yeah.
It says he has released 9 solo albums and 4 incredible classics with the Poor Righteous Teachers. Today, as founder CEO of Intelligent Music Group and president of the Rap Snacks Foundation.
Wow.
So I don't know.
I don't know if you knew that, bro.
And I don't know if Wise Intelligent is this the actual Rap Snacks.
I mean, no. He said well, maybe it's not. Maybe he naming that and it's on some hip hop name type shit. Because it say the Rap Snacks Foundation. So maybe
that could be like.
But Rap Snacks is funny. I'm like Rap Snacks.
Man, yeah.
But in a way that would be dope. But listen, get this book. Get this book. We didn't read a chapter of it. I'm glad we didn't spoil it all for you. Go ahead and support this man. Even if you don't read it, man. Another thing, we buy a lot of shit we ain't gonna never use. Get this. Even if you don't read it, just get it. Support the brother. But read it.
If you really want to know, if you're asking the question, which is the thesis of this show today, if you're wondering, for real, what's really good?
What's wrong with us? Why are we rapping about this?
These cats really be having this money? Where did it all really come from? What's really good. You know what I mean? And you'll look up and you'll be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But we've been saying that on the street. Yo, how do we, I can't remember that comedian we said. Comedian was like, so let me get this straight. It gets put on a ship or a plane, brought to America. It is distributed somehow, and the cop don't get it until it get in my pocket. So you didn't see that till you ran up on me. You know what I mean? About a little bit of weed.
Right.
That's what said me so weak.
I love that.
You're right, but that's real. You know what I mean? And so I just want everybody to realize you still spread the word, support Wise Intelligence, support his book, but just let everybody know, y'all, hip hop culture, for real, is not criminology, yo. It's not. That's not. What it's just hip hop culture is everything literally that America is. So if it is criminology, America criminology.
You can't separate the hip hop experience. The hip hop experience is a mirror of the American experience.
Yeah, it's a
a microcosm of the bigger of the bigger frame, yo. For real. So listen, we got a few things to promote. Don't go nowhere. Just real quick. All right. So first of all, our son, your son. We gonna because I do it too. I'd be like, my son. I had to stop myself. I was like, wait a minute. We do be. Like I'd be like, the son that looks like me did this. No, I don't be like that. This brother right here, he do look like me though. He came out with a whole beat tape, fam. Arranged it himself, made all the beats, mixed, mastered. And I'm proud to say that because it sounds amazing, right? But you know what's dope about it? It's innocent and it's cute. It's a child's, it's still, he's a young man. He's just 12 years old. He made it when he was 10, 11. Y'all go ahead and get that. Y'all can get that at soultrustrecords.com, as y'all can see right there. So it's been out now about a week. So those who have it are actually pretty pleased with it, and I'm pleased with it.
Yeah,
we cried.
That's awesome.
I cried tears when I heard it because you're already gonna be proud because it's your child, but it actually is dope music, and I see the potential of where he's going in the future. Some of these joints are just literally outstanding, like not even for a 12-year-old. They're just dope.
Yeah, and y'all gonna get to meet him. We're gonna end up gaming up here with him, probably interview him.
We're gonna interview him. Oh, y'all trying to make me cry live. Lord have mercy.
Listening party for him or whatever. And we're extra proud, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He also got a little piano recital coming up. He's also a little keyboardist.
I would say don't spill that. I want to lay that on there.
So we gonna
when y'all see what he's learning how to play, y'all gonna be like, oh,
his campaign coming. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all about to get the nose act. You know what I mean? It's about to be dope.
Speaking of books that y'all need to get. My man right here is a fragging author. Boom. Okay, he wrote this book. He already is ready to write another one because he's learned so much from writing this one. But this book is an outstanding book. It's called The Culture of Hip Hop Before the Elements Offstage. It was named by the Professor Griff himself. It used to be called Let's Do Something for Ourselves. Professor Griff said, "Hey, Brett, why don't you call that jank off stage?" And Fats was like, bang. He's like, but you got to promise to finish the book. And then we ain't talked to him since. I don't even think he know the joint is out. So one day we're
gonna get with him. I've been trying.
I don't even think he remember. He don't even realize that he named this book. But he did. He's in the book and everything like that. So that's what's up. Y'all make sure y'all get that. Also, it's $10, $9.99 at soultrustrecords.com. Tomorrow I'll be doing a tutorial. Tutorial Tuesday is tomorrow. Each 9 Teach 9 is my teaching platform. And I'm going to be teaching y'all some 101 about making emotes. Twitch heads, perk up. Now, if you're not on Twitch, if you don't care about emotes, it's still, oh my goodness, it's still graphic design 101. So you're still going to learn how to design a good flyer or how to design a dope logo, specifically logos, because there's almost no difference in designing a logo and an emote. Okay. But we're going to talk about how to design some dope ass emotes that's going to make you money on Twitch, okay? Because that's really the money game on Twitch is centered around emotes. And the doper your emotes, the more legs your channel is going to have, all right? So stay tuned tomorrow at 1. I'm going to be teaching y'all how to do that live, all right? Anything else? I don't know if Floyd Vader's still there, but my man got I don't have a picture of it up, sorry. Groove Science. Y'all go to Bandcamp and check out Floyd Vader's Groove Science.
And Embodiment.
And all his other stuff. You see, yeah, I gotta tap in. Yeah, y'all please do. I'm gonna really get it in. It all sounds amazing. We should be proud. Thank you. We are proud.
We trying.
Okay, there he is. I blended a couple of joints in last night on some vocal mashup.
All right.
All right. No, nice. So look, we love y'all, man. This was dope. We always high five and kiss and hug after these because these mean a lot to us to talk to y'all and be able to reach y'all in the community and know that there are going to be some people here to build with us and everything like that.
Even Matic said Photoshop or Illustrator.
Photoshop or Illustrator. We're using Canva. We're not using Photoshop or Illustrator. I am dumb trained in Photoshop. I'm from art school back in the day when there was no internet yet. And I learned how to use Photoshop way back then before people had PCs in the crib, like talking about it. All right. So I would love to actually do a Photoshop tutorial, but I made all my emotes on, let me see if I can pull my emotes up. I don't think I can. I can't do it from here.
You
Oh,
got
I
a
know how I
couple
can
on
do
your
it.
flyer, though.
Hold up, hold
There's
up.
a couple of them on the flyer.
No, it's not live right here either. Yeah, it is. Hey, look at my emotes. Yeah, look at. Thank you, boo. You're so smart. Yeah, so those are my emotes that people use. My black girl magic emotes that I like to use to spread vibes all over y'all. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's going to be on Canva, and so that's accessible to anybody. Anybody can do this. Canva is absolutely free. Even if you pay for it, it's just like $12.99 a month. So I recommend it.
Also, Wednesday, my man Gorilla Will, because for those of y'all that don't know, my man Gorilla Will is big friend. Again, this is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. This is the All of the Solar Flare Natives. This is what we're doing. Mama hitting you deep tomorrow. We started with the knowledge today. You know what I mean? We started with the book reading today. Wednesday is Hip Hop Healthcare. We're gonna be hitting up Gorilla Will. He's a vegan chef. We're gonna get into hip hop, his culture, his life.
Yeah, he's a former chapter leader of our
chapter.
Zulu
We're
Nation.
gonna get into all that. We're gonna get into all that, build on all that. And how did he become a vegan chef? Because when I met him, he wasn't a vegan. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're gonna go through all that story. And he's one of the dopest vegan chefs in the 757 right now. So we're gonna build with him.
He's Hip Hop in the Mug, and Hip Hop Healthcare is so on Wednesday at what time?
Wednesday, we'll go with 6.
Okay, but y'all will see a flyer for that coming up.
It'll be somewhere between 6, 7, and 8. We run a flex schedule like that, so somewhere between 6, 7, and 8 on Wednesday. Also, Thursday. I'm not gonna give you. Also Thursday, we're doing an old to new school. I know as much as y'all hear me talk about the 70s and the 80s and everybody and all the elders be talking about the hip hop and the b-boy.
Throwback
and I love to talk about it or whatever, but I ain't gonna front. We talk about it too much.
Yeah, there's new artists out here.
So we want to dope hip hop out. So we're gonna get some flowers to some people that that's been rocking since the 2000s or whatever. So I got my man,
DJ Bowtie
and Bowtie coming through here to hit us up. We're gonna have a good time with that Thursday. Be looking for a reggae show from me.
Fats has been learning how to DJ the reggae, y'all.
So
and it's nice.
It's gonna be Roots and Rockers. Y'all stay tuned for that. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm doing the same thing with reggae in that show that I did with hip hop. Really, I'm just starting the reggae movement, the reggae essence of it. And so
that
about
sexy.
Learning the culture, learning about Rastafarianism, learning about patois. We're gonna learn various people who started. I mean, we're gonna go from the beginning, y'all.
That shit sexy.
You know what I mean? And so y'all stay tuned for that.
See, he just ignored me, y'all. I be all over him. I be all in his lap, y'all.
You know what I mean?
She lives in my lap.
Yeah, y'all stay tuned for that. Also be on the lookout for DJ B. He be on Twitch, dope, fresh radio. You know what I'm saying? We did a mixtape with him. So me and No Rubber People, that's gonna be coming your way shortly. Soul Trust Records, you're large. We're gonna be doing.
No, we got a lot going on. Really, there's a lot. We leaving out so many like major things.
Right. And this book will be physically available shortly.
Yes. That's right. Fats got a publishing deal, y'all. Let me rub butt on you. Fats got a publishing deal. You know what I mean? He got a publishing deal. By a dude, what's his name?
Heru.
So we
proven publishing.
We published. He getting published through a cultural outlet, and it's gonna be in all of the. It's gonna be in the major joints, but it's gonna be definitely in your conscious bookstores coming near you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you'll be able to order it and everything. Hardback, hard body. He just approved the proof a couple of nights ago. You know what I mean? Last night or whenever.
Yes,
so it's finally coming. Oh my God.
20. My first 20 copies are on the way in one of these shows.
Oh my God.
We're gonna pump that.
I'm so proud.
But also a revised version of this book is coming next year. I found out a lot more information that needs to be added on.
If you ever want ladies to sit in your lap, write a book, all right? You can get that author cat. Like I didn't expect it to be like this. Like if he wrote the book, I would be like, "You writing your book?" I walk by, he'd be revising, doing. I'm like, "Oh, you writing it? You doing it?" All right, that's so shy, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm very frisky, and PDA is my thing. All right, so anything? Let me see. I found y'all by happenstance. LOL was written already. Yes, and you too, Kobe Hustle. I've been enjoying you since you've been through. Congrats. Thank you. Congrats. Yeah, man. Congratulate that man.
I appreciate
Can't
that.
Wait for the Roots and the Rockers.
Yeah,
man. So y'all check out Floyd Vader tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night. I'm gonna work out tomorrow night too, Floyd.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, our time, 12:30 a.m. Really, like I said, Wednesday morning, technically, our time. He goes in with the house. You can dance around. I also am doing it. We're doing it, but just stay tuned, man. I ain't gonna talk your head off, right? So hit me directly. Hard copies drop. Yes, we will, man. We will.
I got you.
We might just send you one. You know, you're the man. Like this brother got one more thing. Let me show that off. Say one more thing to him so I can show up. I always do that.
I mean, I just want to say again, y'all, thanks again for the support. Thanks again for the Twitch community, the Facebook community. We're looking to do big things. Everybody doesn't have to be hanging with you, listening to you, building with you on these platforms. We do not take y'all's energy and love and appreciation for granted. That's all I want to say. I love y'all. We love y'all. We're gonna keep building with y'all till we get it right.
10:30 our time. Okay, my bad on that. Did you change the time or am I just wrong? Y'all know I'm bad with time and stuff and dates and stuff. But 10:30 our time. He said he'll be live. So
that's
all right. So y'all look at that. Y'all see this? I always show this, but y'all got to see this. That man right there, Level Up 757, Level Up Art 757. He made this with his hands, y'all. It's a living cactus inside. Well, I can't say it's living. It's a real cactus. It's not like he got this from the prop store. You know what I mean? Y'all look at that. Come on, man. Come the hell on.
And that's the kind of energy, like, that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you got stuff like this around your house, it makes you think a certain way.
Yeah, it does. Way. Oh my God. Oh, you changed it. That's smart. Yeah. That's better. Cause I be staying up with you. I be trying, but sometimes.
Oh yeah, like, 10:30. I noticed that. I said, yeah, okay.
Okay, good. I mean? I think that's better for you. That's better for everybody.
I ain't gonna front you. We had a rough homeschool week last week, messing with not just you. Just Twitch, period. That's what I was saying. Big up to Kiwi Infinity. She came in here earlier.
Yeah.
I just told her, Twitch be having me twitching in bed.
Our sleep schedule, Twitch be destroying our sleep schedule, yo. So y'all tomorrow, be there with me, 1 p.m. I'm not playing with you, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'm gonna really get it, and I'm gonna show you how to make emotes that slam, emotes that activate the chakras of the user. Okay. No, it ain't gonna be all that. But I'm gonna show you how to make some dope emotes that y'all can actually, make some money. I'm gonna try to get y'all to a level where you can make emotes where people just subscribe just so they can get your emotes. They might not even follow your damn channel. That's the kind of emotes we want to make. All right. So we love y'all. Anything else?
No. No, that's it.
All right. We got plenty. We got a whole week lined up for y'all. So y'all be on the lookout. I'll definitely be popping up in and out of there. So
yeah, happy Hip Hop Appreciation Week. Yo, big up to the Zulu Union. You know what I'm saying? My homeboys or whatever. I ain't talked to the cats in a minute. Big up to y'all, man. This is what I'm doing. I told y'all I was gonna be doing some Hip Hop Appreciation Week. We popping it off. Look, let me show you how much we're doing it too. Check it out, yo. Then I'm gonna leave y'all alone.
No, it's going down. It's all right. They here. You're so cute with these props and stuff. That's gonna be playing. Look.
This is what we did in school today. This is how we doing Hip Hop Appreciation Week here, Crib. It's our story. We're doing, of course, our history. We call it our story at Key University. My sons did this today.
Yeah, this is our children's handwriting right here.
Just as a review. We already went over this during Hip Hop History Month in November. This is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. So I was like, all right, y'all, let's break out this books.
The Melendez brothers. Jose Cha-Cha.
Yeah, let's get that timeline. So my sons understand Clarence 13X, Cornbread, when graffiti started, even though we say hip hop started in 73, graffiti is an element. Graffiti started in 65. So, we got some work to do. But hey, Hip Hop Appreciation Week. We're going in. Y'all already know what it is. Key University. You know what it is.
Yes. That's so dope, yo. I come in here. Sometimes I come in here or whatever, and I look at what they've been doing. I'm like, man, that's so dope. It's so dope, yo. Ain't nothing like hip hop to teach the babies, yo.
Oh, no question. Love y'all, man.
Yeah, this is something that we know.
Thanks again for hanging out with us, y'all.
All right, we love y'all. Come on, let's get him some dap or something. You know what I mean? Some love, peace, and soul. Some beef. Yeah, I ain't got my MF doing, but peace, y'all.
You know what I mean?
Let me put something on Crystal.
Yeah, run the jewels. Run the jewels. Run the jewels.
Peace,
you know what I mean?
We love y'all.
Peace to the fam.
See y'all later.
One love.